Morning. Lynette Harris, morning to you. Shirley Jimenez, morning. Well, my usual people. I know I didn't announce that I was going to be on this morning, but let's see here. Good. Leon Graves, morning, sir. Dwayne Peters, morning to you. Morning, Diane. Arthur Lucian James, morning. John Keto, morning, sir. Leon Joseph, a friend from Tuco. Morning, Roxanne. Roxanne, no, you're not late. Now, come on. You're just in time. Deborah Duranti, Florence Bazzi, morning. Cyril Mayas, morning. Shah, Pamela O'Connor. Roxadia Awikep. Alana Gonzalez, morning to you. Adriana Alexis, Gemma White, Isaac, Betty James, morning to all of you guys. Brian Batiste, morning. Jennifer Dorset, morning to you. Deborah Duranti, Jennifer Ashby Okuli, morning. Listra Sydney, morning. Listra. Yes, Roxanne, all the candidates are required to be in South tonight. So I will be in Southland this evening for the meeting. Yes. Brian Roxanne says, where's my tune? Oh gosh, Ashim. Who had sent this to me? Nigel, I think it was. Nigel O'Connor. I'm gonna check it there. We say good morning to His Excellency, President of the Republic of Pleasantville, Nigel O'Connor. I trust that he is doing well. Dave Emmanuel, Christopher Siffy, Alison Boyce, morning to all of you guys. Jamal Alexander, Patsy Edwards, Andel George, Hazeland Sims, morning.
Sleeping time. Oh, sleeping time. I was in the laboratory when somebody showed me him. Somebody said that I'm not today because to take care of them. And in this crowd was singing loud, going to the convention.
Kevin Thomas, Cynthia Jackson, morning. Crystal Blackman Cyrus, morning.
Somebody say you better like the man, he had a touch of Eric William. Hallelujah. We ain't making no total mistake. Hallelujah. What the opposition get they go take. Hallelujah. When I say okay, you know what I mean. Hallelujah. Get all your crew, we sleep in this country clean. Hallelujah. We can't fail. Hallelujah. Next in the tail. Hallelujah. It is the PNM. It shall remain.
Yes, get your brooms out, folks. Get your brooms out. If you don't have a broom, go and buy one. Raymond Roberts, Angela, Marcel, Figaro, morning. Carol, you're lucky I ain't getting no rain on my side. It's dry. Carol Myers, Betty James. We see here. Florence says, I just read the past of the next party from 2010 to 2015. That is not a rap sheet. Almighty God, put your both hands on our island. Yes. Bunks Up Central, morning to you. Marion Edwards. Dave Emmanuel, Christopher, Siffy, who else is there? Pam, D. Pierre, Issa T. Pierre, Patsy Austin, Beverly Jones, morning to all of you, Lonnie Rodney. So let me jump in. The other folks will join, I guess, because I didn't announce that I was going to be on this morning, but that's because I did say I was going to do a live Monday and Tuesday after my walk, but my walk went much longer than we had expected. because my campaign manager was like, "We done here already. Let's continue." And then um, I must say we the reception was excellent. If anybody had any doubts that Malaba Mausika is PNM, those doubts were removed over the last couple of days as we walked the constituency, and persons um, were eagerly awaiting to see who the candidate is. Um, in fact, it's a good thing we work because we met a couple of people who said, it's a good thing Ole pass. That guy wasn't going and voting. Okay, I said, I don't know the candidate. I mean, going and vote for any and anybody. I want to see who the candidate is. And I was able to win over these people. Not that it took much effort because, so yesterday was the first time I encountered um, a street that was not PNM friendly. So that basically was a UNC street, more or less. You had one or two persons living on the street who were pro PNM, but it was majority UNC. In fact, there was one guy living on a PNM friendly street, and if we could tell that he was UNC. I mean, the man sat down in his gallery, his foot up on the banister there, and with his two grandchildren. I tell you, if looks could have killed, the PNM would have been looking for a new candidate for Malaba Mausika today. The anger on this man's face. I think, what's wrong with you? I ain't do you nothing. You don't know me. You've never met me. But the man vexed. You could see. I say, you see me? I ain't not going through that. But still, I did not pass him straight. I simply said, morning, sir, morning. Gave him a wave. He did not respond, save and except for the meanest look you could ever see. All right. So I said, not even going in the man yard to try and engage him. Right. He clearly, it would be a waste of time anyway trying to talk to him to convince him. You could tell he is hardcore UNC. So, but fortunately, he is in the minority. If I have met so far in the last 7 weeks of working, if I have met 5 people who were against the PNM, we found plenty. Yeah. So, yeah. Yesterday also, we walked in the neighborhood of the UNC's candidate for Tunapuna, Mr. Roger Alexander. So he lives on one of the several HDC compounds in the constituency. In fact, I would have passed in front of his home. And well, I know he was there because his vehicles were in the garage. But we expect he wouldn't come out for obvious reasons, lest even if he wanted to, because my understanding is that he got that house courtesy the People's National Movement. But when what is it, ingratitude is worse than witchcraft, right? You're living there because of the PNM, but want to anyway. I guess everybody have their price tag, yeah. But what does it profit a man to gain the whole world for the loss of his soul? But anyway, so I watching the news last night, CNC3 News, and they interviewing this man because I think he went on his first walkabout and talking about he plans to make Tunapuna a model constituency and he's going to utilize technology to make Tunapuna a safe constituency. And I couldn't help but laugh. Why? Because just a couple units down from him, I met a gentleman who would have informed me that just recently one of his vehicles was stolen from that very same compound, just recently. Right? And further walking, so there's the compound and then there's a wall and then there's an open lot of land just after the wall there. And, there was a resident or constituent that we met who was talking about that space has been earmarked for a park. Now, part of it has been cleaned up and so on and is available for use, but there's another part where you have some high bushes. And I was told that the CPAP crew would have come to cut, but they couldn't go up to that particular part, apparently because what I was told is that you have certain elements who hide their drugs in that area there now. So, that is off limits. And I'm pretty sure that former police officer more than likely would be aware of that. Yeah? He was a senior superintendent. We're talking high up the ranks, the police service. So you could shoot a call, as they say. But the guy who lives just a couple units down from him, whose car was stolen, the guy is telling me, yeah, we have been victims of crime in here. Whoever home got broken into, he lost a vehicle and so on. And they've had little crime issues on the compound itself. where the senior superintendent, former senior superintendent, lives. In fact, the guy told me, he said, up to now, I'm still waiting for the Malabar police to come. Still waiting for them to come. He said, we had to go, we went, we make the report and so on. They take the report and that was about it. Up to now, they have not come to see, well, okay, right, whatever. Nothing. And the guy is distressed and he said, listen, you all need to deal with that. That's one of the issues, right? Because this was supposed to be a gated compound. It's one of the HTC compounds in the constituency that, based on what I was told by some of the tenants, well, not tenants, the residents, is that these were supposed to be gated HTC developments, right? When they started, they did the fencing, but the gate wasn't done. So when Minister Beckles walked with me on Saturday, she was able to explain to them, as a former minister of housing, what are some of the challenges and what the residents need to do in order to press the HTC to complete that aspect of the project, which is to finish the fencing and put up the gates, because there are other HTC developments that are gated. For instance, there's one in the back by Mount Hope Secondary School, up in the back there. That one is gated, but I think the residents would have come together and put up the gate. The HTC would have done the fence, and the residents came together and they put up the gate. So they have their remote when you pull up, right? So I have a friend who lives inside there, one of my former colleagues from NCC. So during the carnival season, there were some times when I would have given him a lift home, and that's how I would have been able to see that. So if it is this individual who is promising to make Tunapuna a safe constituency, a model constituency, how are you going to do that? How am I going to do that? Technology. What technology? What technology? The same technology that you couldn't use for your own compound? You couldn't make your HDC compound a model compound, Mr. Alexander? That you, as a senior superintendent, the only thing you could offer your colleague, your neighbors, is on the group chat for the compound is to tell them, well, you need to be more aware of your surroundings and take extra precautions and all of that. That's the only advice you could give them. Because I told you all, when the chat was shown to me, and I'm reading, because the person showed me and said, yeah, Mr. Alexander posted it, put up a post in the chat. So I read it, hoping to see, well, okay, he's telling the folks that arrangements are being made, whatever, from the police side, if they plan a sting, whatever. Not the sort. Nothing. Just platitudes. Be more aware of your surroundings, exercise extra precautions and so on and whatnot and stuff. But you're talking about technology to make Tunapuna the model constituency. There's the platitudes and dotish talk that they come in with, right? As if crime is the only issue. Just about right. So what technology? This is the same man who's talking about the police service needs more resources and you need to give the police service the resources and so on. The police service every year gets a budget of over $2 billion. $2 billion for the police service alone. So if Ministry of National Security gets $6 billion, just over $2 billion of that goes to the police service. And the majority of that goes to paying salaries to the police, right? And then, as we know, when Gary Griffith came in as Commissioner of Police, it would have been drawn to our attention that the annual overtime bill, right? The bill for overtime pay was almost $500 million for overtime pay. And we would have heard about the racket or the alleged racket. I don't know if I should say alleged, because the commissioner himself spoke to it, where he claimed that senior officers are not allowed to claim for overtime because of their salaries and so on. And so the racket that was taking place is that the junior officers who can qualify for overtime, that they were making up overtime, falsifying overtime records, and then the senior officers would authorize it, and then they would receive a cut. They would receive a cut. You have corporals, constables taking home $60-something thousand for the month. And I'm not just saying this is what I saw. This is what I saw with my own eyes when a constable presented me with his bank statement, right? A client of mine showed me his bank statement, and I'm seeing 1 month $60-something thousand, another month 40-something thousand, another month 80-something. I said, but you working 24/7 for the whole month to be able to make that kind of order? You don't sleep, you don't go home. So these things are happening. So when I see and I hear Mr. Alexander talking about giving the police service the resources that they need. So 2.1 or so billion dollars is not enough. So how much they need? 3, 4. Look at the state of police cars, right? They're buying brand new cars for them. When you see these cars on the road, some of them bearing license plate PEF and so on, and look like they passed through World War. But he talking about resources. There needs to be accountability, and these officers need to take responsibility, right? Because there is no reason, we don't see high-speed chases and so on taking place that often, that so many vehicles in the police service, brand new vehicles, looking like they've been through World War III. Come on. But we don't talk about that, you know. But so he clearly making a play for Ministry of National Security. Remember, that would be one of 4 ministries to deal with crime. The others are the Ministry of Justice, the Ministry of Home Affairs, and the Ministry of Defense. So the lady has already told you the same thing she did between 2010 to 2015, which was the largest cabinet in this country's history, 33 ministers. 33 ministers. The People's National Movement government has been operating with 23 ministers for the last 9.5 or so years. Right? Just imagine, she was prime minister when Barack Obama was president of the United States. And Obama had a cabinet of 23 persons to govern a country of 335 million people. But Kamala Persad-Bissessar needed a cabinet of 33 ministers to govern a country of 1.4 million. Make it make sense. That math's not mathsing. It's just like with Petrochin. 5,000 plus employees, right? For a refinery also that had a throughput of about 180,000 barrels per day, then it went down to about 120. But the consensus is that Petrochin was overstaffed. Because we have the Jamnagar refinery in India, which has a throughput of about 1.2 million barrels of oil per day, about 10 times that of Petrochin refinery. And they had just over a little over 2,000 employees, right? But that is par for the course for a number of state enterprises, because everybody wants a government work. So now they're talking about the PNM spent $600 billion and it had nothing to show. Really? The one thing I would fault the government for, and it is something that I intend to operate differently, right? I believe that every year when we have the budget, every minister should give account of or a breakdown as to how that money is going to be spent. We saw a few months ago where the Minister of Education, Nian Gatsby-Dolly, would have done an interview on I-95.5. And she spoke about that. And she said, while you would see the Ministry of Education getting a budget of about 5.5 to 6 billion, that about 4.5 billion of that goes to things like, again, wages and salaries, okay? It goes to paying for scholarships. It goes to pay for GATE, all of these things, the higher education loan program, because remember, you have GATE, which is supposed to pay for tuition, but then the Manning administration, again, PNM policy would have created the HELP loan program, higher education loan program, which would provide you with loans through the commercial banks that would be guaranteed by the government for you to be able to pay for things like books and your laptop and the other materials that you would need. Yeah? Where is the UNC equivalent of that? So all of these things are what are paid for. So there is not much left over to repair schools and all of these different things and so on. Monies have to be paid for janitorial services and all of that. So the average Joe sees all of these billions of dollars being allocated to ministries and want to know how come this ain't fixed and that's ain't fixed. Because when everybody wants a government work, that is where the majority of it goes. To paying salaries and wages, whether you're daily paid or monthly paid, as the case may be. I had a conversation just yesterday when we completed our work. A young man and a young woman came to the campaign office requesting to speak with the candidate, and I came out to talk to them, and the guy was asking me, what are your plans, and the like, especially for the youth. So I identified the main things that I keep hearing is the youth in the area are requesting recreational facilities. They want upgrade of sporting facilities, basketball court, football field, these things. There's a request for pavilions and so on, to be able to encourage a little more community activity, which is something that I intend to give priority to, because there is certainly a need for coming together of the communities. You have a lot of people in the constituency who have taken it upon themselves to start little football clubs and other sporting clubs to occupy the attention of the youth, but they need a little more assistance with respect to the upgrade of parks and green spaces and so on, to conduct these activities. So again, that is going to be a priority. But I was disappointed in the conversation with the young man, if only because, so he's asking me about the situation with employment and young people who have certain qualifications and so on. And he says, so if somebody comes to your office and whatnot, and I am telling him, listen, because his mindset is focused only on government, and it seems that he believes that a member of parliament can only provide resources through government only. So I said to him, listen, in my current profession, of course, I have established relationships. I have corporate clients, big businesses, and so on. So that if somebody, a young man, young woman, or whoever comes to the office and they're looking for employment, they may be qualified in certain things that the government may not have a position at the moment, or the bureaucracy may not allow for you to be employed necessarily that quickly. But if I could pick up the phone and call one of my clients, or call a friend, or call somebody based on my professional relationships and say, look, I have a young man here who is looking for a job. He has qualifications in IT or engineering or so, however, I'm sending you his resume. Take a look at it and see if you could find something for him now in the private sector, where aside from a salary, there are other benefits to be had. More than likely, you're going to get a higher salary than what you're going to get in the public service. You're going to get other benefits, like pension, group health, group life insurance, bonuses, profit sharing, all of these different things, and more readily accessible opportunities for promotion once you do well. But he seems, his mind cannot wrap around that. So he's telling me, yeah, whether it's like nepotism or whatever, but what about, with the government? I'm saying that is not nepotism. As an MP, your job is to assist your constituents. And that assistance will not always come from the state. And therefore, as an MP, you need to be resourceful. You need to establish relationships with the business sector. So if you have a constituency like Malabar Mausika, where we have a lot of businesses, it is a burgeoning commercial hub between Mausika Road and Tumpuna Road. We have a lot of businesses. We have the industrial estate, the Umera industrial estate, and then we have on the Prince Reville side where we have all of these factories and so on. And you have a lot of franchises and the like now setting up shop on Tumpuna Road, on what was formerly Umera Road, now the Lisa Morris Julian Boulevard. If these people are benefiting financially from the constituency, then corporate social responsibility. You need to give back. And there may very well be a situation where some of these organizations have vacancies, but how would people know? So as an MP, you need to meet with these businesses, have a discussion with them and see what arrangements you could put in place if they're willing to give you a little quota. They say, all right, we could hire 5 people from the constituency, as the case may be. And if you could get that commitment from about 10, 15, 20 businesses, look how many people could get employed. But you have to build that relationship. But he can't wrap his mind around that, because he only thinking government work. And the young lady who came with him, she was a little more, because she's telling him, well, yeah, just like your mom, when mommy working and stuff and thing, and she get a job for so and so there. But for some reason, he I don't know, because some parents have culture and grandparents have cultured the minds of their progeny, get government work, and you get a pension when you retire, and so on. Make sure you work 33 and a third, and you get a pension. And that is how they're thinking. And the young lady kept saying that, right? She's saying that's what the older generation keep telling us. And she looks younger than him. She looked like she could be about 23, 24. And she said, well, that's the problem, because the older generation keep telling us go to school and get a degree and then look for a government job and you'll be permanent. And then, no, now his government jobs is contract, and he referenced that, but he still couldn't wrap his mind around that. And he's saying, so what about the people who work in KFC and who work in the fast food outlets and stuff in terms of housing? How could they be able to afford housing? And I said the biggest challenge that we have is housing. Over 167,000 applications with HGC for housing, but they don't have that amount in terms of housing stock. You can't help everybody, unfortunately, because the houses have to be paid for. I don't think you're going to advocate that the government should just build houses and give it to the person and say, look, a free house. Because HDC has commitments with respect to the maintenance of these units afterwards, and with respect to the sewerage and all of these different things, the compound and the like. And residents or the homeowners certainly will hold the HDC accountable for what they are responsible for. But the solution is some of these persons who he mentioned who working in the fast food outlets and making minimum wage and the like and so on. The reality is that the state cannot provide housing for everybody, because as fast as you allocate houses to persons, more people coming on the list. So the list really isn't going down unless the government could find some way to build 200,000 houses in a 5 or 10-year period. But even then, you have more people coming on, because as fast as they turn 18, 20, and they start to work, your parents telling you, make sure I'm going to put in an application in the HGC from now on. So these are some of the things that I encounter. I said it before and I'll say it again. I didn't realize that the job of an MP is so difficult. You know, when people want to put licks on, we just see all and all of these kind of things. But it is difficult. The amount of demands that are placed, and you have the personal demands, people who have personal issues that they want the MP to deal with, and then you have the community issues to deal with, and everybody who find you're not moving fast enough, and you're taking too long, and that's. But anyway, that's why I need a strong team to be able to function. Yeah. And again, every day people keep asking, you sure you want to do this? You sure you want to do this? You realize you're here. Woman yesterday, she said, I have a problem with my pavement. Again, you my vote. What if you see that pavement and fix? Don't come back, and I know the Lord will give me life for another 5 years. Don't come back in 2030 to ask for my vote if that fix, you know. But that is a personal issue that she has. You have some people have water leaks originating on their compound, on their property, but they want WASA to come and fix it. We're good, because they can't find the main. Listen, the list of issues that people have, and a lot of it, as I said, is stuff that are personal, right? People have land disputes, land issues. The next door neighbor who living on this piece of land and they can't get electricity because the neighbor have claim to the land and the neighbor took them to court, and they want you to now to force the neighbor to do whatever so that TNT could come and connect and WASA could come and connect and so on. But these are civil matters. But they seem to think that you could bring the weight of the government to force the next door neighbor to concede so that they could get these things. And it will make sure, I'm telling you, when you see it, you will come. I come in and see you, because we had to deal with this. But anyway, we will talk more on that probably tomorrow or something, right? So the question on everybody's lips, or the question that should be on everybody's lips, who is the leader of the UNC? Because if the what we've seen for the last couple of days is anything to go by, clearly Kamla Persad-Bissessar is not the one calling the shots in the United National Congress. Clearly not. Because how could you be interviewed by the media on Sunday, and the media got wind that Rudy Endarsing was to have been replaced as the Member of Parliament for Couva South, and Persad-Bissessar didn't know that? And she's, where? Who said that? Really? Is there a different leader of the party? Is there a different screening committee? That's news to me. And I have no doubt that Persad-Bissessar was genuine. She wasn't playing smart with foolishness. Body language, facial expression, and so on could tell, because she wouldn't say that on Sunday and then have to come and walk it back on Monday. So it clearly says that she had no clue. So she clearly is not involved in the selection of candidates, the placements of candidates, or so on. She is just a figurehead, and is whoever pelting out the money behind the scenes, right, to pay for all of these ads. And as we've now heard over the last couple of days, they're paying social media influencers $40,000 plus to promote yellow is the code and to use their platforms and promote the UNC. And if we had any doubt about, and this is not just allegations, we have one such social media influencer, very popular, who was the one who bust the mark, because he says there was a Telegram group to which these social media officers were invited, and the offer was placed on the table of $40,000 for them to use their platforms to try and influence their followers to support the UNC. And since then, when we look at the timeline based on when this individual would have spoke to that, of that happening, because he say he not about that life, right? They can't buy him because he's about good governance and he's not willing to take $40,000 or $45,000. However, is the figure that you're able to negotiate based on the size of your following to sell out and then have to suffer for the next 5 years to be hearing every Monday morning about corruption, some minister name they're calling some wrong stand-up, the prime minister having to fire some minister because they get caught in some kind of wrong stand-up. He is not about that. So he exited himself from it. But we see, based on the content of some of these social media influencers, it is clear, because they weren't producing all of this type of content before, but all of a sudden, yellow is the code and promoting UNC propaganda. So there's one who goes by the name NCW. Some of you may be aware of him, right? So he is basically what I call a parasitic comedian. What does that mean? So he would create content, hilarious content in some cases, but he borrows from other people's experiences. So if it have a bacchanal on Facebook, it had a fight take place somewhere, or some one of those other social media influencers had a cuss out or something like that, he would go take that content and then splice it and put it together and create something that, and in between he would put his own little commentary and so on, which you would find humorous. But he has a following of 135,000 people, and one would wonder, you don't know how many of that 135 support the PNM, right? It would have taken you years to build up that following, and you built a brand, because he has a tagline, oh shames, oh shames. So he would, if you see it, there was a cuss out between two other social media personalities, and he puts it together and he would show you little pieces of the video and so on, and then he would interject, oh shames. So that oh shames became a tagline for him. So he created an apparel brand. So he sells clothes with Oshims on it, right? So people buy from you, people who follow you and want to support your business. But you don't know, when people come to purchase your clothes or they pick up the phone and make an order, I want to get 2 jerseys, I want to get 2 short pants, I want to get a vest, a skirt, or whatever it is. Do you ask them what is your political affiliation, because I only sell to UNC supporters? No, you don't care, because that wasn't an issue for him. Now, in between, he's a public servant. So if there was little occasions, the time when he would just make little side remarks about about the government, but it's more from the perspective of his position as a public servant and certain decisions that may have impacted him 94% and so on. But it's nothing that he would have gone deep into before. But now, my boy creating content and using artificial intelligence. So the first video I saw him put out was one where he's asking, he's a series of things that they accuse the government of, and asking, is it fake? Is it fake? So the first clip on that was, is it fake that the government spent $3 million to purchase paintings? And yes, the answer is, it is fake. The government did not spend $3 million to purchase Casabon paintings. There were $3 million worth of paintings that were available for sale at an auction house in the United States of America. The value at that time was $3 million. That was 9 years ago. However, I think it was about 10 or 12 paintings were available, and the government was only able to acquire 8 of the paintings for a value of $1.95 million. And that would have been the Ministry of Public Administration, who would have been responsible for the purchase, would have made that known, right? So there is an article on that, and I'll post it on the debunking page. But yes, it is fake. It is untrue. Then he goes on to say, after 10 years and nothing to show and all of that. So I would have seen the clip based on somebody sharing it, and it came up on my timeline. So I decided to go directly to his page under his post to comment so that he would see. And the first thing I did was to post the link to the article about the paintings. I then went ahead and posted a list of all the things that the government would have done right? And we have an updated list because we've gotten more information from some government ministers to add to the list. So we will be sharing that list with you all very soon. And I posted these two things. And then a couple days later, I went back to the very same post to go through the comments. And as is to be expected, he would have deleted my comments because you don't want the population to know the truth. You don't want, when people come across your original video and they go into the comments, they would see that much of what you would have put in that video clip is falsehoods. So these folks are not genuine. So when they come to tell you about the PNM this and the PNM that, and yellow is the code and the UNC, but they are getting the facts. You are posting something that is lies. Okay, we will assume the first time you posted it, you didn't know, because you probably lack the intellectual capacity to go and do the research, or you're too damn intellectually lazy to do it. So I did the research for you, and I posted it in your comments. I'm sure you would have seen it. And realizing now that you get called out for being dishonest, rather than remove your post altogether, you continue because it's already shared, and you choose to remove the comments with the information that is showing you to be a liar. But this is the extent that the UNC has now gone to, paying social media influencers money to use their platform. The next one is this one who goes by the name Cuban Boy. Now, he has always been a bit anti-PNM, but he's been very guarded sometimes in the things that he says. So usually, I think the last election, probably when he thought that the UNC would have won, he kind of showed his colors. But now he too is creating content criticizing the PNM and encouraging people to vote for the UNC. And he's very emboldened now so to do. I don't know if it's because he believes that they will win. So he's taking chances, but he needs to remember that you are not a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago, and that as a foreigner, you are here at the behest of the Ministry of National Security. And whatever work permit or whatever it is that you have that allows you to remain in this country and work is not permanent, and that you are subject from time to time to have these things renewed. And so when it is that, just as in the case of the United States, as we're seeing now, where they look at your social media content, because when you apply for a US visa now, there are additional questions where they ask you for your social media handles. They want to go and see what are the things that you're posting. Are you posting things that are anti-government, anti-US government, anti-president? All of these things will impact, because they want to see, is this somebody that we want in our country? Our country, do you present a threat? Right? So in the same way, Mr. Cuban Boy, right, who loves to criticize the PNM, but even, well, he's Cuban, but you have some Venezuelans as well. I don't know if you all remember back in 2020, when there were a group of them, the UNC, when they had the national convention in a car park in Cuba, and you had a whole contingent of Venezuelans in yellow UNC jerseys talking, Kamala, Kamala. Remember that? You ever see that in a PNM rally? You ever see any contingents of Venezuelans or Spanish-speaking individuals in any PNM meeting chanting, Rauli, Rauli? No. You see them in the UNC, but these same UNC hypocrites talking about how Stuart Chung and the PNM registering Venezuelans to come and vote in the election. When all the evidence, video evidence, is there to show that the party that has the support of the Venezuelans and the Spanish-speaking community is the United National Congress. So if in fact there was registration taking place, which is false because they cannot, the UNC should be happy, because these persons are more inclined towards you all. Most of the times when you see these Venezuelan women with a belly big, right? Check and see who the man is, who the father of the child is. Go down to Central Trinidad, Enterprise, and these places. Walk down on the Southern Main Road and see them in droves stand up at the side of the road waiting for maxi and taxi with their belly big. And look at the man who's standing next to them. But this is the nonsense that they're coming with. So desperation. And the question must be asked, who is funding this? Because when you could be offering social media influencers 40,000 plus. Now, as I said, that's the starting figure, right? Now, a man would be able to negotiate a higher figure based on how many followers he has. Because remember, you are asking this person to jeopardize the brand that they would have taken years to build. Because those persons, those members of their following who do not support the UNC would obviously take issue to somebody that they follow because you were non-political. right? Your content is non-political unless something happened that you made some content about, with some politician say something or whatever it is, but it remains comedic. So we understand it's not you picking a side or advocating people should vote for a particular party. If something happened and you put a comedic twist to it, and people appreciate that, even if it's something against a PNM minister or a PNM MP, as the case may be, we will still laugh at that. 'Cause I've seen some things like that. That's funny. But when you delve into the realm of promoting propaganda, lies that are easy to prove to be lies, and then they come in and say, well, I was never PNM, I never supported PNM. Okay, fine. But why is it that you now have to come out and say that? Why didn't you have to say, why you didn't have to defend that 6 months ago or a year ago? Your platform is not new. For the longest while, how is it that only in this silly season you now decide to start to push out political content? And because you're getting licks for it and people calling you, you say, well, people come in and say this about me and that about me, and oh, I was never PNM. I think, okay. But you would do well to be reminded that this political season, this election season, comes to an end on the 28th of April. And then after that, we go back to normal life. Outer body back to yourself. And all the people who normally support your content will remember that. So I hope you were paid the amount of money that you were paid. It better be worth it. It should be worth it. Look to see your following decline, right? A lot of unfollows because you're no longer considered to be funny. But I say kudos to those other social media influencers, right? Who don't have a price and who are not willing to sell their integrity, and who have plenty more followers than the likes of Cuban Boy and NCW. And I see somebody posted a video where they say this next one, the Queen of East Dry River. A long time now she sell out. Long time. Right? Always ringing bell. Cling, cling, cling. Ole, go for me, Anna. Go for me, Anna. But Patrick Manning was my father. And Patrick Manning was my father. And I get this from Patrick Manning. And I a PNM. I a PNM. But me, I like Rowley. No, you're not a PNM. Right? But you have, which is your right, Jolene John coming by your house and bringing thing, and David Naked coming by your house. My brother, look what my brother bring for me. I watch my sister. Let me take a picture. How much did you get paid? Right? Because we know whoever in power you eating our food. The last time Munilal handled you good. Let me say. There are other social media influencers who apparently weren't on the radar, so they didn't get the offer. So they're coming out now and they're pointing out, well, I really noticed this person all of a sudden posting yellow is the code and a whole set of UNC thing, but they wasn't doing that before. So they're being called out by their own fellow social media influencers. But ask yourself, why is the UNC so desperate to get back into power? Why? Who is willing to offer social media influencers $40,000+ to promote UNC content, UNC propaganda, to risk and tarnish their brand? Because this is just a temporary period. But the impact of you tarnishing your brand, you're going to feel it for some time to come. But the others who smart and who are not willing to tarnish their brand for 30 pieces of silver for 4 weeks or 6 weeks, kudos to you. Never forget the other day when it is Certified Samson who owns, right, young man into business. You see, because he is not like some of them who, when Auntie Cams was there, I was eating our food, I was getting a little $1,500 and so on. Right? He discovered his talent, came on social media, exhibited his talent, and his following started to grow. Right? So much so now that I think he has over 1 million followers on TikTok and how many hundreds of thousands, 700,000 on Instagram and the like and all of these different things. So he's building a brand. But he decided, look, let me use some of the money that I'm making from this to start other businesses. So he opened first he started selling lollies and so on, and then he opened his ice cream shop. The first outlet he opened in South, I think is in South Park, and then he opened the most recent one in Eastgate, having been invited so to do by the owner of Eastgate Mall, Edward Abood. Now let us not forget that Mr. Sampson, when he opened his second branch, which he said it was much sooner than he thought he would have, coming on the heels of the first one that he opened, but he was encouraged by the same 1%. And I want you all to take note of that. The same 1% that they were talking about, the 1% and the 1% and the PNM in the back pocket of the 1% and all that stupidness. It was the same 1% that encouraged him to come and open a second branch, because the 1% they don't feel threatened. Yes, the mall would benefit. Yes, it would draw patrons to the mall, which would benefit Mr. Aboud. So he benefits from it too. But he took it upon himself to encourage Certified Samson. Didn't just encourage him, because from what I understand, he would have given him some assistance as well to be able to make that second shop a reality. So much so that he is now thinking about expanding that brand to other Caribbean countries. So he's thinking big. There are many young people just like him in the country, right? He didn't come from a wealthy family. He wasn't born with a gold spoon. His father didn't gift him $1 million. Started out same, just so that when it is you have the UNC telling you, people suffering and nothing for the youth, and it had nothing for the youth. Certified Samson didn't need anything from the government to start his business. He discovered his talent and he was able to monetize it. And today he's thinking big, right? But don't forget, when he opened that second branch in Eastgate Mall, and just because Foster Cummings and Kerry Marcel were among the hundreds that were in attendance there, the supporters of the UNC, because they saw these two people there, decided to go on a social media campaign calling for people to boycott Certified Scoops. A young man who trying, because he could have gone the other way, you know. Yeah, he could have been among those with their pants below their waist and below their bottom and walking about and smoking a weed on the corner and saying, boy, nothing them government, nothing for we, boy, nothing for the youth. Instead, he chose to be a role model for the very same youth, right? And for that, because two PNM persons decided to attend the opening, UNC supporters, rather than encourage the man, launch a campaign on social media, say, boycott him because Certified Scoop is PNM and all of that. So if you don't support UNC, something wrong with you. So, oh, they ain't going to buy no ice cream from he because he's a PNM. This is how low they go, lower than the white line. That they can't look past the politics to encourage a young man, but always talking about, oh, nothing for the youth and nothing for the youth and the PNM, don't care about the youth and them and all of that. But when it is that a youth man has decided to do his best and he succeeded just because you want to play politics, all you see is politics, everything for you is politics, you would call for this young man's business to be boycotted. But the 1% that all you always cussing, encouraging, and investing in his business and helping him to grow. The same 1%, because the color of their skin different from his. So who is worse? The 1% man who call him and say, hey, we have a space. Come, we will help you to set up your second branch here because, okay, you may not have the capital yet to do it, but we will help you. We will help you. Come. So when Dr. Rowley says, when the rich get richer, there's nothing wrong with the rich getting richer. But the poor must come out of poverty, because when the rich get richer, they create opportunities for the poor. Well, that is an example. That is an example, because they open a mall, Eastgate Mall, but they own other malls. They own Gulf City Mall, they own Center City Mall, and so on. And they opened this other mall to get richer. And in doing so, they were able to create an opportunity for Certified Samson to grow his business so that he too could get rich. But some of you also, you're so myopic. When it is that you hear the rich creating opportunities for the poor, the only thing you could think of is the rich offering jobs, minimum wage jobs to the poor. But we don't know how many other businesses Mr. Aboud probably helped. How many other entrepreneurs like Certified Samson that he probably helped. But he has certainly done more to help Certified Samson than Kamla Prasad Bisasa, who would offer Certified Samson land for the landless so that he could squat. Who would offer him baby grant, $500 a month to make child. That is what she would offer. So when they wanted to take Dr. Rowley to task for saying nothing wrong with the rich getting richer, it's not a seesaw. One doesn't need to go down for the other one to come up. But the rich creating opportunities. Certified Samson benefited from that opportunity. So while he wasn't seeing a second branch so soon, the rich created an opportunity for him within the space of 5 months to open his second branch. And because of the volume of persons coming to Eastgate Mall to support other businesses, he will also benefit as well. Right? So just think about that for a moment. But I just want you all to remember which party's members it was that was calling for this young man's business to be boycotted. And then you have the other one, Kyle Boss, right, who also has over 300,000 support followers on Instagram. I don't know the other platforms because I usually follow him on Instagram. So he would have succeeded. And again, when the rich get richer, they create opportunities for the poor. Because it's these same brands that want to get richer. You know what they're doing? They realize the influence that these young men have, the following that they have, and they want to tap into that to get richer. So they have made these young men brand ambassadors. So they're paying them to promote their products. So a lot of the times you will see them promoting content where they're promoting Church's Chicken, they're promoting Solo Soft Drink, they're promoting Pizza Hut, they're promoting, you know, because these brands realize, hey, we could make some money in collaboration with these guys. So let's create an opportunity, the same opportunity that Dr. Raleigh was talking about, by paying them to promote our products to their followers. But only myopic. Yeah, Rowley say, the rich must get richer. And when the rich get richer, they create opportunities for the poor, where the only opportunities is minimum wage jobs. Really? You have this couple, Anil and Kanita James. Again, using social media, they have a following. The rich, wanting to get richer, have hired them as brand ambassadors and paying them to promote their products to their followers. So they're getting money. All they have to do is to create content. So you're going to Pizza Hut launch a new product, or they just come and do something, do what you do best. We ain't telling you how to do it. You come up with the idea. You just come with your camera, your phone, or whatever. You create content. Because these brands want to move away from the traditional form of advertising, going on TV and going on radio and spending a set of money and hoping people hear the ads or see the ads. But when you can tap into that social media influencer market, where you have people who deliberately go to these pages to see what is the latest content. Hey, you know, I ain't check out Junior Lee in a while. I know, let me go and see what new content he has in place. Hey, you know, I ain't check out Kyle Boss in a few days. Let me go and see. So people actually, and they hit follow. I don't want to miss. So any new thing that they bring out, it must show up on my timeline and I must see it. And the businesses, the 1% and whoever the rich wanting to get richer, helping these social media influencers to also get rich by paying them money that they would normally pay to the big advertising companies. The tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars that they would spend on an ad campaign, they have now seen that they could use some of that money to give it to the social media influencers to use their platform and drive traffic to their businesses. Opportunities, the rich getting richer, creating opportunities for the poor. Because none of these folks were rich, but they're on the road to getting rich by using their talent, and they could tap into. Yeah, but Rowley, the rich must get richer because, and who are the people talking that nonsense? Them who sit down on the block and waiting for anti-cams to come back and launch another live sport program and give you $1,500 or $2,000 a month. Small money now. But we don't have to work. We just had to sit down whole day and smoke weed and talk stupidness and drink beers or whatever it is that they're drinking or punching or whatever and talk stupidness and wait for the fortnight or the month end to collect your $2,000. And while you're waiting, you want to breed everybody girl child. So baby daddy, you have 3-4 women around the place, all of them pregnant for you, all of them had child for you. Right? And you can't mind them because we're waiting for Auntie Kamla. So how you making money? You're selling weed. And the government has opportunities for you, but you're not interested in that. Nah, that's why we work for the money. We're not interested in working. We want the easy money. Where I just had to go and sign my name, present my ID card, and get them a bank account. And I can relax whole day, and I know when the fortnight come, I get a little something, and the person who link it for me, if it's $1,500, I give him $5, and I keep $1,000. That is what Prasad Bisasa is offering to the youth. And unfortunately, you have plenty of them line up waiting for that. But wouldn't take pattern from those who are taking advantage of the opportunities that the government gives. Because even if you go and you do one of the programs at the Ministry of Youth Development and National Service, even if you don't get a job immediately after, at least you now have a skill that you can start your own business, which is the intention. It's not for you to get this skill and then send out resumes and hope somebody hire you. No. At the end of the day, the mindset should be you are there with a cohort. It's not you alone in the class. So whatever is the course that you go to study, you have friends there because it's not a 1 month course or a 2 month course. So you would build relationships with these people. And what you all should be thinking, hey, let's come together and start a little electrical business. Let's come together and start, because the Ministry of Housing, they're building houses and they will need electricians. We do this electrician course, right? So let's come together and start a little business, and we could probably bid for a contract. Even if we get a 15 houses or 20 houses to do the electrical work, is a start. It would give us the experience. Or we do plumbing. All of these houses need plumbing. So even if we could approach the ministry, they're building real houses, thousands of houses. Even if we could get a little 100 houses sell, a contractor to do the plumbing for 100 houses, we starting from there. And then once we build that experience, we could now go and approach the private sector who also building houses and see if they will give us the opportunity to be able to do the work. We ain't talking about that. They're not promoting those opportunities. Rowley gone, but they're still talking rubbish about Rowley and Rowley. So coming back to the issue of Mrs. Prasad Bisesa. So let me play this thing here, right? I know plenty of y'all would have seen it already, but let me play it again. In case you went to your fridge. So let me get this here. Come over this thing. Right. Mm-hmm. Let's come on one sec, folks. Let me just pull this thing up here. Right.
Are you?
That's not it. Where is it? Where is it? Right.
Kamala Prasad Bisesa ignites uncertainty among supporters, as just on Sunday she told us.
Who says endorsing is wrong? That is news to me. That is news to me. Is there another leader of this party? Is there another creative committee?
But speaking at Eid celebrations in Princestown on Monday, she confirms that endorsing the incumbent Kuva South MP has been replaced.
MP is going into Kuva South.
Lie.
Is going into Kuva South. Is going into Kuva.
You heard that, right?
Is going.
You heard it. Sunday afternoon. Sunday afternoon, the media asked her, who says endorsing is being moved? That is news to me. That is news to me. Is there a different screening committee? Is there a different leader in this party? I don't know anything about that. And then a few hours later, she announces that indeed endorsing has been moved. But you see, the Facebook page called UNC Cabal called that one since February. Since February, he said that Padarat had eyes on Kuva North, but that the current MP for, well, the former MP for Kuva North, because there are no MPs now as Parliament is dissolved, laid down the law and let them know he's not taking that. So Mr. Padarat then set his eyes on Kuva South, right? Since February. Now, she didn't know that. Now, when you listen to, when she made the announcement, first she said he was going to Kuva North. And then, of course, it's a good thing Mr. Padarat was there that he was able to correct her, because if he wasn't, well, all hell would have break loose in the UNC, because Mr. Ratiram might have had a pull for his tree line, he poyant, right? Gilpin, to start out to swing and pelch up. Because the leader said, I'm sure when he heard that, he probably got a mini heart attack, right? And it might have been more severe had Padarat not been there and corrected her. right? So we know Ratiram breathed a sigh of relief. But let me go again. Play this other part where she made the announcement.
Today I announced that Barry Padarat will be the UNC candidate for Couva North.
Well, let me get it again. Did I see it? Where is it? Where is it? Well, 1 second there, folks. Let me just get this here. I want to hear the part when Padarat corrected her. So, let me see here. Where is it? Where is it? One second, folks. So many things to see, right? Let's see. Right, let's try this one. Let me see. Just okay. Yeah, that's what I need to do. Hold on, folks. 1 second. 1 second. There's so many things to talk about. Never a dull moment in Sweet TNT. Usman, I can't take that call right now. You'll have to call me back. I don't know if it's just people don't understand how I operate. Just now. Just now, folks. 1 second. You know, all the time this thing popping up on my timeline now, I'm looking for it. I can't find it. All right, let me try another one. Last try. Just now, let me see. Where is it? Where is it? Okay, just now. All right, one other place. Let me check here. Oh boy. Just now. Thank you, Eric. I know you would assist.
The UNC candidate for Couva North. Give him a round of applause. In this place, I found someone from your own community. From your own. Where's that, Barry? You're going Couva South? You see? We stayed in 3 a.m. My brain is filled. Give him a round of applause as the incoming MP, United National Congress.
Her brain is what? You see? We stayed till 3 a.m. My brother. What? I played that back so many times, and I still can't figure out what she said happened to her brain. But anyway, okay. If anybody
nominates Barry Padarat to be the new member of parliament for Couva South. Give a round of applause. He has served you well here in Princestown, but all good things must come to an end.
All good things must come to an end. Right? All good things must come to an end. So, endorsing was good. Padarat was good. Really? Well, last night on the CNC3 News, when they had the poll, you know what people say. When they interviewed residents, constituents of Princestown, not one person had anything good to say about Padarat. In fact, the majority of persons said they were happy to see a new candidate coming because maybe they will finally see, some improvement in the constituency. The first man they interviewed, he said, well, 9 years now, nothing to do, the road need to be, the road bad, whatever. So we hoping, we happy, we hoping for a change. But she talking about all good things must come to an end. Clearly she's not in tune. She hasn't been to Princestown in a while because the constituents ain't saying that Padarat was good. Anything but good. But they still voted for him. And if it is, he was the, notwithstanding what they were saying that the last 9 years they ain't get no representation, no proper representation. Had he been the UNC's candidate still for a third term in Princestown, they would have still voted for him anyway. But all right. We understand that. Par for the course. But then there was another video. Let me see if I get that one here. Eric and Harrison now one for me too. I've been so busy I don't even have time to go into the chats. Just now. I'm looking for the one where she was talking about Mubarak Eid. Send me that one. Just now, is it in here? It should be in here. Send me that one, Eric. I think this is it. Let me see. Okay. Now, send it to America because the link is blocked. Apparently, they don't want people to see and hear what the leader was saying. Just now. All right. Well, I'll wait for Eric to send it to my folks. So when he does, I'll play it. But you heard she asked Pararat the question. She said, "Was that Barry? You're going south?" She didn't say it like she's sure. You know what? You're going south? Okay. Well, I guess I get it wrong. The handlers who paying the 40,000 to the social media influencers are the ones who call in the shots. The handlers who spending money to buy candidates, to get them to leave their job, to give up all of their benefits that they would have earned over 30 plus years, getting them to give that up to come and offer themselves as a candidate for a race that they're not certain to win, right? To have their reputations tarnished. Whoever is the handlers behind that's spending that money. But I want you all to take note. The PNM has 41 standard bearers, 41 solid standard bearers, and nobody had to pay any of us to come forward to serve. Nobody had to offer us any inducements to come forward and offer ourselves to serve. Take note of who running all of these set of ads, the falsehoods on TV and on radio. A party that has been shaking down its representatives, its aldermen, its councillors, its MPs for 10% of their salary to be able to pay the rent and to pay the utilities and so on for the past how many years, all of a sudden has come into all of these millions and millions of dollars. And I am sure at the end of the day, if they were to do accounts, they would see which of the two main parties spending more money. Which spending more money. All right? So that when it is Prasad Bisasa told us, yes, we're ready. We're ready. Clearly, they weren't ready. Because Indar Singh, up until 2 days ago, thought that he was going to be the candidate for Kuba South. So he wasn't aware that his truth, that they busted truth. So how can you say you were ready? We have our candidates. And up until 2 days ago, some of your existing candidates didn't even know if they were the returning candidates. They thought that they were. And then they get the surprise of their life. Hey, it was nice, right? You're not ready. So if up until 2 days ago, even Pararat and all said, it caught him unaware. So he didn't know either, or so we're supposed to believe. It means that the process of selecting candidates for the election 2 days before nomination, still going on in that party. 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks before the general election, they're still sorting out candidates. And if we weren't sure before, this development tells us that. Because Indar Singh didn't know. All the PNM candidates knew the same night that we were screened, we knew who the candidate was. The PNM said, well, all right, well, we conduct screening and we're going to take 2-3 weeks or 2-3 months to deliberate. As soon as they finish screening the last person, the screening committee, they go into the room and they debate and they hammer out and so on, and they pick the person, and then they come outside and they say, this is the person. They tell the constituency executive, this is who we select as your candidate. You could now go and inform the person and have a chat with the media. Same night. But this party, 36 years old, big hardback man, homeless, right? Knocking from pillar to post like the littlest hobo, can't get it right. That 3.5 weeks before a general election, still picking candidates. 2 days, that is why, and you see how they're dishonest. That is why last week, when they had the exercise, the pre-nomination, the exercise, to come with your documents, to make sure everything in order, right? come with the nomination form with the signatures of the 6 persons from your constituency who are nominating you, to bring the ID card, and let us go through all the documents to make sure everything, all your ducks in a row. Because we don't want you to come on the 4th of April and you find when you're going through, you didn't realize that 1 or 2 of the persons who nominate you, the ID card expired, so we can't use that. So you now have to go and do a new form to run and find 2 new people to replace and find the other 4 to get them to sign over the form, and the clock is ticking. You're sweating like a pimp with 1 prostitute because the time is ticking and you need to get these documents in by 3 o'clock. Otherwise, you will not be able to serve as a candidate. So when they come and tell us, well, we don't need to do that. We don't need to participate in that. So our candidates will not be participating in that. It's because you're still was picking candidates. Endarsing couldn't go and engage in that exercise because he didn't even know if he was going to be the candidate. But they make it seem as if, no, that is not necessary. We have all of our candidates selected already, so we don't need to engage in that. And you see, if you lie for the small things, you will lie for the big things. And Mr. Manning used to always say, show me a liar and I will show you a thief. And these people continue to show themselves to be liars. They do not have all of their candidates as yet at this last minute. And maybe that's why yesterday this man's face was screwed up so, and why he watching me as if I take your wife. Because while the PNM constituents have had the facility all over the country, all 41 constituencies, while the PNM constituents have had the benefit of meeting their candidate, speaking with their candidate, shaking their candidate's hands. We still have about 15 to 17 constituencies in this country where the UNC supporters have no idea who their candidate is, and are very likely to have somebody foisted on them that they don't know, have never met, know nothing about. So in Princestown, that is the situation. So this young lady who replaced in Padarat, she has 3.5 weeks to walk that entire constituency. I have been walking my constituency since February, since the 2nd week in February, and I still have a lot of areas to cover. So you could bet your bottom dollar she is not going to cover a fraction of that constituency. So many of these UNC supporters will be going to the polls on the 28th of April, having not met their candidate. And just remember, after the election, she has no impetus really to walk the constituency in its entirety to meet everybody. So all who have issues will not be able to express that to their candidate, many of them. They will not be able to see if this is somebody that they could gel with, to hear what her policies are, what her position is, what are some of the things that she plans to do to improve, what has she heard, and what does she do, what does she intend to do to treat with that. They will not have that benefit, which is something very important, I can tell. But they love to say, put a tie, a balize tie on a crapo, and the PNM people will vote for them. But as I told you, I have encountered many people during my walkabout who have said to me, I am PNM, but if I did not see you, I was not going to cast my ballot. Some of them have said to me, listen, I've vexed with the PNM, I've vexed with the PNM. But it's only because you pass and I had opportunity to talk to you, I will give him a vote, right? But I want you to let them know I vex with them, because however it is, public servant, they vex with the 4% or whatever it is. I've met people like that who have said that. And we not taking any vote for granted. So when I meet these people and they say that, many of them have said that to me, listen, I wasn't voting this year, it's only because I meet you. It's only because I know you from the radio when you were 91.9. It's only because I know you from YouTube and I see you in person and I realize you're a nice person. Yesterday when we were wrapping up the walk, a guy came, a doubles vendor, and he was saying, listen, I had to meet this man because I meet real youths in the area who say, they wasn't going and vote and thing, but they say they meet you and you're a real cool fella and they like your vibe and so on, and they're willing to vote for you because they realize, hey, you're gelling with them. You're not one of the normal prototype that we get. They realize you're a different fella, you're willing to listen to them, hear their ideas and so on. So I come to track you, I had to meet, who is this man that everybody rating up? This is what the guy, not me saying so, right? I wouldn't come here and say that, and it's a lie, because I know I have members of my team who work with me, who listen here. So they were present when the guy came and he said that. I never met him before. So there is value in walking, but the UNC, not about that. They are taking their constituents for granted. that because it's a UNC constituency, trust the leader. But this is the same leader who gave you Padarat that you're now complaining about and saying for the last 9.5 years you had no representation, but you're willing to vote for him again. Right? The people in Kuva South who complaining, Endarsing was a hard worker, and Endarsing this and Endarsing that, and they're rating him up. And they vex, but they're still going and vote for Padarat. They have the concerns, but they're still going and vote for Padarat because it's not about Padarat. It is about the UNC being in office. It is about them taking chain up from the UNC. We will give you this and we will give you that and we will do this and we will do that. Just like we will give you $3,000 pension at age 60 and then come and tell you it was a misprint. Just like we told you, we will bring legislation to establish fixed dates for election. No longer will the Prime Minister be able to pull the election date out of his back pocket or his forbes. We are going to establish term limits for the Prime Minister, 2 terms and you're gone. So you don't have to worry about Kamala Persad-Bissessar trying to run for a 3rd and 4th term, as we see in the US where the current president is talking about running for a 3rd term, even though the Constitution bars that. But none of that. Recall legislation, where was that? They come and they give you a runoff. They never talk about runoff in their manifesto for 2015, in 2010, but then they come and give you that. So all who talking about yellow is the code. When UNC wins, everybody wins. Really? Really? But just remember, you have 2 union leaders speaking on the UNC platform, telling you different things. One telling you, well, we can't, even though we don't have a figure or a percentage for wage negotiations. And then the other one telling you, we're going to start at 10%. Who to believe? The one who's saying you're going to start at 10, or the one who's telling you, well, we don't have a figure? And then the woman in between, who is supposed to be leading that party, she's not talking about that at all. She went from, you get 14, it went down to 10, and then she stopped talking about it. So she is not committing herself to anything. So what you could prepare yourself for, you Mr. or Mrs. Public Servant, who telling yourself you're voting for yellow because you'll get 10%. And the starting, the baseline is 10%, and they might get more, we might get another 14%. When you see you give them your vote and they come into office and they tell you, well, the treasury empty. We didn't know the state of the treasury, and the PNM this and the PNM that, so we can't pay the 10%. And we have to, we could only do 5. The PNM is offering 4, we give you 6. Don't come and gripe. You vote for that. And then it will, I can guarantee you see that relationship ain't gonna last long. Within 6 months to a year, Roger and them will be on the streets, dragging effigy, cussing Kamala, and how she sell out. And then those who supporting that and who rating them up and telling you, yeah, put the UNC in office and put anti-Kamala in office and everything will be good. The price of food will go down. Donald Trump promised the same thing. Price of food skyrocketing. When we import in much of our food from the United States and prices going up in the United States, but apparently so we will buy the food at high prices in the US, and then when it come here, the price go drop. Right? That is UNC logic. The price will drop when it comes here because we're buying it at the high price in the US, and then when we add on the cost of freight and shipping and all of these different things and the whatever duties and stuff, when it reach here, the price going to drop. Okay? And people buying that. But I could tell you what you're going to hear for the next 5 years, should you put God out of your thought to put them is, but all them parties the same thing, yes? Kamala did say she was going to do this and going to do that, and watch now. PNM, UNC is the same thing. I don't vote, not me and them politicians. I done with politics. That's all. Rather than admit that you were hoodwinked, some of you are begging to be hoodwinked because you're hearing, but you're not listening. Rather than admit it that you were wrong, that you were better off with the PNM, but you decide to take a chance with them, another chance, and all the things they promise you, they give you. You rather than to admit it and call them out, well, all of them politicians is the same thing, yes? All of them is the same thing. PNM, UNC is the same thing. Same side of the same coin, but different sides of the same coin. I may voting again. Stupid. What is their policies to generate revenue? As they continue to antagonize Nicolas Maduro, who it appears is going to be the president of Venezuela for another 6 years. Because you notice things quiet. The opposition in Venezuela hoping that Donald Trump will be their knight in shining armor. But where is the advocacy? Have you seen any videos and so on with that? With them advocating, where is it? Not seeing it. So more than likely the same thing that happened in 2018, where you had agitation at the beginning and Maduro served his 6 years. It looks as if he's going to serve his next 6 years. And the only party that can negotiate, with Mr. Maduro is the PNM. Despite all the things that the UNC is saying, calling him he's a dictator and he's a narco trafficker and all of this, the supporters talking that rubbish, but don't want to accept how important that relationship is. Meanwhile, their leader is supporting the leader of the US, who supports Vladimir Putin, the Russian president, who stands accused of committing worse offenses than Nicolas Maduro. So they accuse Maduro of being a narco trafficker, they accuse Maduro of being a dictator and rigging elections and so on. But Putin has been accused of the same thing. Putin has been accused of arresting political opponents. He stands accused of having a hand in the death of Alexei Navalny, who was seen as a front runner to replace him as president. All of the gerrymandering that he has done to get around their constitution and so on to remain in power for this long. But their leader, the UNC leader, supports, right? Take note of that. Talk about a confused woman, but as I said, she is leader of the UNC in name only. That is evident. She has no clue what is happening with respect to the selection of candidates. And you should be concerned as to who is driving that effort and what they expect to get in return. Ask yourself that. Nobody is pelting out millions and millions of dollars to support a campaign to get nothing in return. So EMBD, joke. SIS, wastewater treatment plant, joke. Right now, what let's call him, Mamu, Krishna Lala, probably in Panama, waiting, patiently observing what's taking place. Who knows, maybe he contributing to the fund as well. Waiting to pack his bags to come back to Trinidad to resume what he would have been doing prior to. After years living it up in Panama, time for me to come back home. Yes, because I need repayment. So if all they want 2010 to 2015 on steroids, put God out of your collective thoughts and put them back. And when you see the bacchanal start and ministers being accused of thieving and the same soap opera every Monday morning, somebody getting fired, I will just rock back and laugh. Don't expect me to come and sit down here and do this for another 5 years. No, I'm not doing it because you all were warned. So all who vex with the PNM for whatever reason, and you ain't voting, and me ain't voting, you stay with that. You ain't voting. And you will have to deal with them for 5 years. I ain't not coming here to do this for another 5. Because unlike the belief, Pasabi says, I am not aging in reverse. Okay? Right. While they believe she is aging in reverse, I am not. I ain't coming to do that. But let me again touch on their dishonesty. So, Prime Minister Young, as he's accustomed doing, when he was Minister of National Security, when he was Minister in the Office of the Prime Minister, when he was Minister of Energy, he has been doing this for years. You would see that for Eid, he would normally accompany Dr. Rowley to the mosque along with Kazim Hussein and engage in the activities and so on. There are many pictures to show Mr. Young sitting next to Dr. Rowley. But the focus has been, so Dr. Rowley sit down so and his eyes closed. And the UNC would take that to say, watch, always sleeping on himself, this and that. Not taking note of Mr. Young sitting next to him, right? Now let us remember Stuart Young's Stuart Young's mother and her side of the family are Muslims. So he is familiar with the Muslim faith, right? Because I'm sure he would have had some influence in his upbringing, growing up in a household with a mother who is Muslim. So Eid would have had special significance in that house because of that. And when he would visit his Muslim family and so on. So I'm sure when Eid came around, he would go and visit his family and they like in Lal Bihari Trace or wherever else. So this is nothing new to him. But the UNC want, oh, he's a hypocrite, all of a sudden he think and he go in this and whatnot. Right. So there's a video clip, The Express, showing where Mr. Young, Prime Minister Young, is giving, I don't know if it's zakat or whatever it is. So he's handing out $20 bills, walking, as he has accustomed doing, to the crowd. And he comes upon this woman standing behind a young boy. And as he's handing money, so at that point in time, as he approached them, it seems that the amount of money he had in his hand, that the money ran out. So he had to dip in his pocket to take out some more. And the woman says, I hope to see you come back in power, right? And she bends forward like that. I hope to see you come back in power. And Mr. Young's response was, we will, or you will, I think, right? You will, once you vote for me, right? That is why he said, once you vote for me. In response to what the woman said, and the video is available to be seen, she said, I hope to see you come back in power. And he said, you will, once you vote for me, right? Now, at the same point, he's handing out money because he walked in the line. And this woman made this comment, and then she goes on to say, and I come in and work for you too, for those of you who've seen the video. But this honest UNC decided to doctor the video and cut out the part where the woman said, I hope to see you come back in power. And they just put the part where he said, once you vote for me, and saying that he was giving out money trying to buy votes. And I see people like Fall Street, Anselm LeBon, decided to have a whole show last night, right, about that. So I called him out on it before the show, when I saw the promo for the show. And I said to him, are you one of the social media influencers who received the 40,000? And his response was, prove it now. He didn't say no, he said, prove it that I received it. I then went on to say to him, but your byline in yellow is a blatant lie and you know it, but you still posted it. To which he responds, so videos does lie? My response was, UNC doctors videos do. If you look at the real video, the full-length video, not the doctored UNC video, you would see where the woman made a comment telling Prime Minister Young she hopes to see him come back in power. And he responded, you will, once you vote for me. I then went on to send him the video. And I said, let's see if you're honest. Right? That was the end of the conversation. But then when I went back on the post, I see where he deleted my comment, where I explained what the woman said. Right? But he still has the one with the link to the video. Let me play it for you, right? For those of you who may not have heard it, to see how they're dishonest and the depths to which they will go. And then you have Saddam Hussein, was the first one on that side to share that video, that doctored video, which I'm sure he knew, and criticizing Stuart Young. And then you have AZP News putting out an article, Priya Bihari, putting out an article talking about Young tells woman, once you vote for me, and so on, giving the impression that the Prime Minister was trying to buy votes when they know the truth. Show me a liar and I'll show you a thief. And that is why I tell you, the future of the UNC is just as bad as the present. That when you have people like Saddam Hussein, who is the future of the UNC, the future of the UNC leadership would be so shamelessly dishonest. Shamelessly dishonest. And it's not the first time that he has done that. Because throw your mind back to when they had the issue with Emailgate, right? When the case was closed and the deputy DPP, Joan Honoré Paul, would have issued the final report because the substantive DPP couldn't do it because his name was called in the email stuff, so he couldn't. And in that report, it clearly said, Google explained why they couldn't authenticate the emails, because it was said that given the period of time when these emails were allegedly sent and the time that the preservation order request was made, that time period, it is possible that the account holders could have deleted the emails and they can't retrieve it, right? The only person who said that the emails were fake was Gary Griffith. But that didn't stop Saddam Hussein, who was in possession of the DPP report, the deputy DPP's report, from mounting platform after platform every night and saying, Google say, and Microsoft say, and the police say, and the US District Court judge say, everybody say the emails fake. As if everybody dotish, everybody is the waterfront ilk, right? As if he was the only person in possession of the deputy DPP's report, when nowhere does it say. In fact, the conclusion says the authenticity of the 34 emails can neither be confirmed nor denied. So we cannot say that they are genuine, nor can we say they are fake. That is what the deputy DPP said. But they interpret, big lawyer, he come to tell you that means the email fake. So it is not the first time that Saddam Hussein has shown himself to be an inveterate liar. And if he could lie on things like that, something so simple, and a number of persons have called him out on that lie, and I'm sure he has seen it on social media. He has not retracted his lie, and instead would double down on it. How could you trust somebody like that to serve in government as a minister? Dishonest to the hilt, no integrity. And that is why Rodney Charles could say nobody of integrity will associate with the UNC, because it is a party that lacks integrity, and you can't trust none of them. But I continue. I'm going to get this thing here. Was the time there? Ah, boy. That's what's happened anyway. Let's not. Let me see it here. Express. I really had to do another live tomorrow, yes? Yeah, because there's a lot to talk about and I don't have the time. Where is it? As I'm looking for this, let me mention in addition to. So one of the things that I've been doing is engaging these UNC supporters on social media, right? And so when they want to talk about PNM this and PNM that, and they're advocating yellow is the code and vote for the UNC. So I have been posting links to certain articles about certain persons who are potential candidates for the UNC, reminding these persons why we don't support the UNC. All right. One of which is an Express article entitled "Why Ram Was Fired," and that article speaks about Ram being fired from the two public utilities companies, and it gives the granular details about why he was fired from the last public utilities company, which is TSTT, and that whole fiasco with the millions that he gave out in contracts to the company to provide the bucket trucks, and they didn't have the company didn't have the capacity to provide it, and so on. Long story short, contract was cancelled. The company was instructed to pay back the money, and they said they would need time to pay it back and all of that. Right? And Ram was fired. I indicated to you all that I intend to revisit all of these articles. And it was my intention to touch on that today. Imagine my surprise when for the last week and more, I have been sharing, I would just pull it up on Google, share the link, posting it in response to the comments of some of these UNC supporters, only to find out that the link is broken, right? So the article is no longer available. When you click on and you pull it up on Google, and you click on the hit. When you go to it, it's taking you to the the 404 message that you get saying that this article was removed or whatever, it was deleted or whatever. I want to ask the Express newspaper: are you all playing politics? Are you all playing? This thing was available up until about 3 or 4 days ago, but today, right? Since yesterday, it is no longer available. The link is no longer available. So persons who wish to read that story cannot do it. And the Express must be made to answer. What is the issue with that? Is it that you all were approached because probably the link being shared on concerns and they realize and they decide to call Ole up and do what? Get you to remove it? Is this what we call journalism in this country now? Media houses are being bought out? Because I can't understand for the life of me how up until a couple days ago I could have gotten that story and read it in its entirety, but today when I try to access it, I'm getting link this is unavailable. Anyway, understand what we are up against, people. And if we have media houses engaging in this foolishness, ask yourself why they don't want that article available for people to read, right? So that we could scrutinize. But anyway, where is this thing? Right.
You good? Thank you, man. Thank you very much. Dennis. You will. This, once you vote for me, right?
You heard that, right? You will. What was he responding to? So he just out of the blue just say you will. But he's trying to buy votes, according to them. right? He trying to buy votes by telling the woman, once you vote for me. And then you have these shameless UNC supporters coming on social media and talking about Stuart Young asking people, telling people they will get more money once you vote for me. You heard Stuart Young say anything about you will get more money once you vote for me? The woman, and the video is there, she says, I hope to see you come back in power. And his response was, you will, once you vote for me. But these dishonest wretches continue to promote their lies and want to win an election on that. And you have people who willingly accepting that will see all of this and still talking nonsense about yellow is the code. Well, I see the former head of the SSA, Roger Best, was in the meeting last night. Yes. So when you have any, you wonder why it is Munilal and why their position was what it was when it is this story broke. Right? Mr. Best, yes. And talking nonsense. Let me see if I get it. Yes, no. I know I saved that one. Gosh, 808. Folks, come on, just come on another 10 minutes, folks. I'll open the lines just now.
8663 PD Chairman Tango. Ask everybody about it. I am supporting democracy.
You see, when I UNC is that the future we can see you on the UNC platform fighting a seat?
I am a Scoleano, and what I will say is that there are many people within this party who have supported, have supported those who are oppressed, and I am very thankful for that.
Will you approach the fight on the seat?
No. Actually, I decided to come show my support for Dr. Munilal to see what this whole thing is about, because I believe that righteousness is important. Righteousness is the key. And I think everybody in Trinidad and Tobago should stand for righteousness. I mean, you guys yourself could see and you would know what is unrighteous and what is not. And if I ask...
So that there's Roger Best, former head of the SSA, right? Who is currently subject to police investigation. Okay? So he was at their meeting in Oropochis last night, and you heard him say he came to support Dr. Munilal, whom he has known. Yeah. But prior to that, you heard what he said? You know, there are people here who have supported us. Who's the us? Who's the us? Who's the us? I just asking that question, Mr. Best. I'm not surprised that you found yourself there. Because one of your predecessors, remember Mr. Carlton Denny? The one who mounted a platform, was it in 2020 or thereabout or sometime, and claimed that that former Prime Minister Keith Rowley had given him instructions to fire all East Indians in the SSA. So it seems that UNC has a track record of attracting SSA directors who are fired for one reason or the other, and they find themselves. And then later on in this clip, he's talking about, well, you know, I could put on, I have on this jersey today, but you never know, I could put on another jersey and go somewhere else, playing smart with foolishness. Mr. Best, you made sure and you put yourself in place so that the media could find you, so you could give comment. And you commented for almost 4 minutes. Almost 4 minutes. So therefore, can we expect that should the right-thinking citizens of this country put God out of your collective thoughts to put these people back in office, that we could see charges dropped against Mr. Best? I just asking the question. Can we see charges dropped against Mr. Best? Or will this matter? Because we know that's the plan, eh? Understand? So, you know who to support. Yeah, that ain't happening under the PNM, but hey, let me go and support Munilal. Let them see me and I make sure the media find me so he could see that I talk. I say I come to support him. So should they come back into office, you know, they could return the favor. I just asking the question. And it's interesting. And let me show you hypocrisy before I open the lines. Look how they have welcomed Roger Alexander. Put him as the one as the candidate for Tunapuna, right? Roger Alexander, we know his past. In fact, this is a man who was on 3 years suspension from the TTPS for having been charged for, misbehavior, wrongdoing, whatever as the case may be. But the UNC has welcomed him with open arms, and he is good enough to serve as their candidate for Tunapuna. But you all recall when the name Suzette Martin was put before the parliament as a nominee for the position of Deputy Commissioner of Police. Rura Munilal objected to her nomination on the basis that she was the subject of a police investigation in which she stood accused of being involved in a vehicular accident where it is said that she bounced on a teenager, a 14-year-old boy on the priority bus route, right? And that was there were two reasons why. That was the first one that he harped on, that she was the subject of a police investigation at the time. The case has since been dropped or whatever as the case may be, right? And two, because of her involvement with respect to the Brent Thomas issue, where Mr. Thomas, we know the whole story, the saga behind that, where it is he was in Barbados on his way to wherever, and members of the TTPS went to Barbados, retrieved him and brought him back to Trinidad, and the UNC made a hullabaloo about kidnap and all kind of nonsense. Okay? But the police obviously would have had reason so to do, because remember, Brent Thomas is a arms dealer, right? He sells guns and so on, so he has a gun dealership. And in addition to that, we would have seen that Mr. Thomas, contrary to the utterances and the representations of the UNC, Mr. Thomas's record isn't all that squeaky clean, because we would have seen where there was an article that came up where a former employee of the Board of Inland Revenue was fired, and not only fired, he was charged for misbehavior, where it is alleged that he would have provided falsified certificates of tax certificates to a company owned by Mr. Thomas, because in order to get certain contracts and certain clearances and so on, you needed to have these tax certificates, which basically said you paid your taxes. And that was not the case. And this individual would have received money for these falsified tax certificates. So in other words, fraud. And the person named to whom these certificates were provided was Mr. Thomas and his company. Let us not forget that. So when they want to make a case, oh, this citizen of Trinidad and Tobago was kidnapped, Mr. Thomas has questions to answer with respect to that case in which falsified tax certificates were issued to his company, right? To hoodwink and to fool the authorities. That is fraud. And you now have a former employee who's before the court on on bail for that matter. All right? But the UNC never talked about that. In all the discussions they have about Brent Thomas, not once did they bring that up. But you embrace a man who was actually charged for a crime, was suspended from the police service for a period of time. All right? You embrace him and make him a candidate. But you had objections to a woman who was under investigation for a vehicular accident. Right? You objected to her strongly getting the position of Deputy Commissioner of Police. You see the hypocrisy? Trinidad and Tobago, I don't know how else to tell her. I don't know how else to tell her. What? I have plenty more I could tell her. But there are some hard-headed people, and in some cases, some soft-heads too, who take in chain up from these people. You vex with the PNM, so I am voting. Fortunately, the hardcore PNM who vex wouldn't vote for the UNC, because they know the UNC is no damn good. Right? They know the UNC is no damn good. But not voting is just as bad as voting for the UNC. You understand? Especially in the marginal seats where the vote is close. And we're talking 1,000 and something votes or 2,000 and something votes. So that when you vex and you want to teach the PNM a lesson, understand, the only persons you'll be teaching a lesson is yourself and your loved ones. Because we saw from 1995 to 2001 should have been sufficient for you to know, do not vote for the UNC. Do not vote for the People's Partnership. But you didn't learn from 95 to 2001. Stick break in your ears. You have cataract and glaucoma. You couldn't see. You couldn't understand. So you decide, get them another chance between 2010 to 2015, and we saw how that worked out. After 3 years in office, in the first 3 years in office, they went from 11 corporations to 5. So 6 corporations, the constituents, the burgesses, and 6 corporations say, I don't want nothing to do with these people after 3 years. You had a local government election, so they lost that. The election in Tobago, they were holding the 2 seats in Tobago. They lost the THA election 12-0, whitewash. They had a by-election in Chaguanas against Jacona. They lost that. They had by-election in St. Joseph to replace Volney. They lost that. And then they came the general election and they lost that too. They went from 29 seats to 18. Why? In a 5-year period. So all of you all who knew, who understood what the assignment was in 2015 and you got rid of these bastards, who want to now come and put them back and get them another try because they make some cosmetic changes and probably bring in 1 or 2 people who willing to sully their integrity, to associate themselves with them. And they want to buy into that nonsense, this coalition of interests with people like Philip Alexander, that reprehensible pig. You could see him as a government minister, because even though he's challenging Stuart Chung, if he loses and they get into power, rest assured she could bring him to the Senate and make him a minister. Philip will fix it. Let me tell you something. 2 man rat can't live in the same hole. And it have plenty man rat and woman rat in that hole. So it will be fight non-stop. Understand that these people have motives. You have credit checks looking for Monilal, $600,000 in debt. You have how many people Philip Mout have to pay, and more cases before the court. So he may very well have more to pay. Understand? Right now he had 2 cents to knock together. A failure. So he needs to get in government to use your taxpayers' money to pay off these debts. So when you're complaining, they give you 4% and 4%. Understand that when they give you 2 more and give you 6, so that they could take the rest of the money, so Philip could pay off his debts and Monilal could pay off his debts, and Monilal could get off this EMBD civil suit, where he's owing you taxpayer over $200 million because of alleged fraud, bid rigging, and other charges. Understand? But as I say, do not expect me to come and sit down here for 5 years when they're doing this stupidness to come and talk about that. Right? I will be in the parliament doing what I have to do. But anyway, Mr. Yates, good morning.
Hello?
Good morning, sir.
Yes, thank you. Just 2 quick things I want to say. One, I was watching the meeting last night. In time to hear Monilal welcome a few prominent people in the audience. One, Major Roger Best, Deodat Dolal Jang, who was UNC's choice for Commissioner of Police when the Rowley government brought Gary Griffith's name for nomination in 2015. Remember, UNC was paid, which is another reason we don't support Griffith's nomination. Their man was Dolal Jang.
Correct.
And he turned up in the UNC meeting last night. I called a friend right away. I said, look, boy, this sounds like prophecy. You remember when Dr. Rowley stood up in the parliament and said that the SSA, he got wind of a plan by the SSA to overthrow his government. And it was led by Major Roger Best.
Yes.
Now the same Roger Best, removed from the SSA, ends up in the UNC meeting last night. This is not coincidence. This is not coincidence by any stretch of the imagination. Just as Dolal Jang ended up there last night. Right?
Yep.
Now, we know from what you have said, and you told me about it, what Justice People said about Varun Kennedy, some fraud business. Significantly, next month, after years of dilly-dallying and shilly-shallying, next month, the EMBD case comes up again. And before that very judge, I wait to see what Monilal and the UNC has to say, one, about Varun Deputy, because they are eagerly expecting that judgment will go the way of Monilal next month, because they have always felt that judge favored them over other people. So let us see how Monilal feels about the Varun Deputy thing. Remember, he was very closely linked to Gerald Randin.
Yep.
And some court documents from former Judge Dayal Singh that was found in what is it, Ramsey's office, when he was doing some case matter with Debunking.
Yep.
So it's very interesting. Let us see now what the UNC and Modulal has to say about Varun Debunking and about the same judge who licked up Varun Debunking a day or two ago. And that is the same judge who will hear Monilal's matter next month in the High Court of Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you.
The very same Varun Debunking who was also named with Gerald Ramdeen in Prison Gate. You all remember that? Prison Gate, where these two attorneys were accused of copying and pasting witness statements to be able to defraud the state of millions of dollars, falsifying the claims of injuries sustained by prisoners at the hands of prison officers and police officers, right? And when it was that the High Court master who would have had to address a number of these cases, reading the witness statements and seeing the similarities, would have called them out on it. And Mr. Debunking would have made the claim, in pleading to the court. I think, if memory serves me correctly, would have written a letter to the court trying to explain why there were similarities, because, he said the language of prisoners is more or less the same. And at the time, he was involved in the commission of inquiry into the collapse of CLICO. And he had so many briefs that he was dealing with that he really and truly he couldn't devote as much time as he would have liked to putting together the witness statements of the prisoners. And so therefore, that is why that happened, and the court rejected that. That Mr. Griffith, when he was Commissioner of Police, told us all gates will be closed before the 2020 general election. But for some reason, that particular gate remained open, and to date remains open. So we've not had a conclusion in the prison gate investigation, even though the senior officer at the time who was investigating that, Senior Superintendent Dinoon, who I'm sure by now would have retired, would have told us back in 2014 that in October 2014 that the matter was almost closed. They've interrogated and questioned everybody else, and the only people left to question, the only thing left in the investigation was to question Debunking and Ramdeen. And here we are, 11 years later, they ain't questioned them yet. What has been the status of that investigation? And as Mr. Yates would have mentioned, Deodat Dulal Chan. Remember, at one point in time, Mr. Dulal Chan's name would have come up, as he said, as a nominee for the position of Commissioner of Police when Gary Griffith was selected. And his name would have been rejected by the PNM. But in that debate, I recall Ganga Singh getting up in the parliament and arguing a case for Deodat Dulal Chan. And he would have closed off his submission during his contribution to debate. Put the Indian. You all remember that? Put the Indian. Today, it is now being rumored, based on what we've seen on social media, that Mr. Dulal Chan is rumored to be the UNC's candidate for Chaguanas West. Remember, they didn't name a candidate for there yet, but that is what is in being rumored on social media, that he is the candidate of choice for Chaguanas West. So it is left to be seen. So when we wondered, and we wonder how is it that the UNC gets information, confidential information from the TTPS, like that memo from the special branch memo regarding Foster Cummings, right? How did that come to be in the possession of the UNC when it was something that was supposed to be confidential and for the eyes of only certain people? Somehow they were able to get a copy of it. Take note of that, Trinidad and Tobago. Take note of that. So let me get that here. Let me just switch this here. Right? So let me get this here. One sec, caller. Hello, good morning. Hello. Hello.
Hi, good morning, Dominic.
Hi.
Program.
Hi.
Dominic, all I'm calling this is I got that list also that you spoke of on the earlier part of your program. And doing research to send it to the person who sent it to me, which was is a UNC fan. Dominic, I have to give you a clap, a hug, a kiss, everything. It is exhausting.
Yeah.
To go and do all that research that you do and cover your program to tell us the truth. the facts. It is tiring.
It is.
Don't sleep because it took me a whole morning with all these different facts to send to the person. Right? I have to give you a clap for that.
Thank
I
you.
think all your listeners appreciate what Dominic is doing and share it. I started doing it and I find it tiring, it's exhausting, it is time consuming. Also, some of these things I send to people, the list of the facts, what CNN did over the 9 years. And you send to people when they send out this list, and one man tell me I put effing sponsor.
Yeah.
Real caution. And I think a lot of them, when they see the facts in front of them and they cannot deny it, that is where they go after. Abuse you, to pursue. I mean, you don't know me. Why are you cussing my mother and father? That's what they are doing, and they keep doing these things because I was also late in the evening. Just relaxed and played a game on my phone. Harder. You know what I mean? So they come into your phone also to these games and pushing their ads. And that's what I keep seeing from people who is defending. There's another guy talking about how they are so with the IMF. That that we are the worst in the Caribbean with the IMF. One or two people showing them it's not so. We are only getting reviews after when you could see from the names. People they're not even able to defense. They just cuss you out.
Correct.
Now think about it. It is horrible. I don't know. That is all I call to say. People give Dominic 100% because I tried this. It is tiring.
Yes.
So much, Dominic. Thank you for bringing us the facts. Have a good day.
You too. Jenny.
Hi, morning, Dominic.
Morning.
Morning to all the callers and the listeners for facts and stubborn things. Dominic, I ain't show you where, gender will never show you
Yeah.
things you working, like any working for me to think but watch my moral surprise, don't worry. I will be there when you really need gender the most.
Right.
Guys, what I will do, so don't worry yourself, love in the house. All I will say to people, because we have how much more days now? 26 more days?
Yes.
Before a general election. I will tell people again, those who don't want to hear, wouldn't hear. There are some who can't change their mind no matter what. They have to lead them and move on. But I firmly believe and is confident that a large majority of our citizens are right-thinking citizens. They may not be happy with everything the PNM would have done. And then the PNM can't please, the government can't please everybody. Because in your own house, sometimes your husband disappoints, your children disappoint. Or you yourself do something that you disappoint your family. But at the end of the day, you look at the unit that you have, the value of it, and you don't make that one incident or two incidents create a situation where the whole thing mash up.
Correct.
Because you create a good at the end of the day. So that's how I see the People's National Movement. They can't do everything to please everybody, and they will do certain things that they please everybody. But they will please one side or the other, because if you ain't pleasing everybody, you can't please everybody. It must have some way to please, right? So you look at the way the two sides. I hope I'm making sense what I'm saying.
Yep.
So you weigh the two sides. You put on a paper. I want everybody this morning to get a paper. Because I'm a mediator too, I'm a certified mediator. So they have paper. And write down the good the PNM has done. And write down the good the UNC has done. Write down the bad you think the PNM has done. And write down the bad you think the UNC has done. And look at it and see if it matches up. I want you to honestly do that this morning. And if after you do that, still in your mind you want to vote for the yellow party, you will live with the consequences of that. And if you look at it, and let's say here what's going on, I prefer to stain my finger for the People's National Movement. The consequences of that also, you'll have to live with it. And I will tell you something, without being as objective as I can. I prefer to stain my finger any day for the People's National Movement. Because all the government policies since inception to now has always been for all the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. How people access it is a different situation. But their government policies has always been for all. It hasn't been for Hindu and Roman Catholic or Baptist or African or Indian or Syrian Lebanese community. Has been for all. The UNC in the short times they have been there have not made any government policy that has benefited all the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. Under Mr. Pandey, the youth camps were closed off. And what happened? He opened a technical school over the Caroni Bridge where it only had Indian lecturers, Indian students, and 4 African cleaners. Barry Garcia could testify for that. Coming out of that, Prime Minister Manning would have opened UTP. So all students, all children could go and learn there. Pandey had dollar for dollar education. So you want to go UA, the program is $200,000. You have to have $100,000 to start. Otherwise you can't. So that was just a certain type of demographic, socioeconomic grouping to go. Because you have to have the money first. Mr. Manning, Prime Minister Manning made it open the whole gate. All you're paying is registration, which used to be a little $1,000, $1,500, whatever. But once you pay that, once you could get that, your family could chop up, 200 there, anti-gay, whatever, and do that. And the program was free. To this day, it's still like that. However, it has been modified. You know why? Because with children, all with children start to go, they start a program. After a year, they drop out that program. Gate pay for it. They start a new program, gate pay for that. They drop out that, and they keep doing that. So at the end of it, they ain't certifying nothing, but they go and all say, no, you can't continue, so because the program will crash. So I mean step, and this is where we are. But the point I'm making is, the People's National Movement policies has always been for all. How people utilize it is where the problem lies. Subsidies, that is where the government giving back to the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago from the riches of the country with all of we own. And then sometimes they take something of the subsidy to add it. If they take off all the subsidies, you can't buy gas, you can't buy oil, you still could buy it. But they win off and take off a little from it, all you go with that. Food prices, the government have no control over food prices because it's open marketing. So the government can get fully involved in that, but they can do other things and they have been doing that. Or just think about COVID-19. If all you want to judge your PNM at all, on anything, you see COVID-19, look at COVID-19. The whole world had shut down. They were dealing with a bacteria they didn't know nothing about. And the last time we had a pandemic was 100 years prior to that. And this little country, Trinidad and Tobago, with Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley, a scientist, he used empirical data and information to keep us safe in this country. We would have lost loved ones, and we will always regret that. But when you look in terms of the other countries, where millions of people died, where they had a health system with COVID-19 patients mixing up with ordinary patients, where they wasn't given no food basket and paying the workers, the public officers to stay home, paying the teachers to stay home, and the only people nowadays emergency service working, and we thank them for this business. When you look at the things they put in place, paying people rent, paying them the salaries, and I say giving out food hampers, all that. No other country in the world, first class, world class, developers doing that. We had a 2-tier health system in this small Trinidad and Tobago with 1.4 million people. where COVID-19 patients were not mixing with ordinary patients. So you had a whole staff of people dedicated to deal with COVID-19. You come back from America, there was a place to put you, where they transition you to make sure you're tested, you don't have it, and from there, you move to another facility. And that's what we have in this country. After the PNM coming in 2015 and meeting a recession, after the UNC had oil prices the highest ever, even under Dr. Williams, it wasn't high. So by 2015, oil prices had reached about $40-something a barrel. That tells you where the PNM was when they came in. And worse than that, when they're looking for money to take public officers now, all where they had money, the UNC spent it out. And Joanna Rambram was happy to say, it had 3 days money in the treasury, meaning liquid cash. This government had to face that. And when they go to the banks to get money, first citizens say that money done already, they borrow on that. They go to the oil company say, you ain't getting memo. We are saying you nothing until 2024. And everywhere they went for money, NGC, the money spent out. All over the money spent out. And this government under Dr. Rowley would have slowly built back this economy. Minister Stewart, who is the Prime Minister now, would have gone out to the oil companies in Hague. He met them in boardroom in Trinidad and in the region, He and Dr. Rowley went to them in America, up in Texas, Houston, Hague, anywhere there, and walk in those boardrooms. When you walk in them boardroom, you see people looking like me and Dominic. The white like Lily, Them is the Bolognians, And we from this small place in the Caribbean, walk in there with Dr. Rowley and Minister Stewart, who was now the Prime Minister, and was able to renegotiate all them deals. When they agreed that here was, we already need to get our money through, And we got back in 2019, $6 billion in corporate tax from the oil companies. Because, we had a brilliant negotiator. He's so brilliant, they want to hire him and all. They know him by his first name. And in this time, with President Trump, who fancies himself to be the best negotiator, he had the program, The Apprentice, and you are fired and all that. So you're looking for who could negotiate. Who you think President Trump will more entertain to have a conversation with? Prime Minister Stuart Young or Kamala Prasad-Bissetta? Or anybody in the PNM? And when you look at the side of the UNC, who? Let me be real. So I end the matter because it's important, This is it here for we, This is that turning point. This is the fork in the road for Trinidad and Tobago, If you take yellow, we do, we go really eat the grass they're talking about because them in developing the agricultural sector, so you go eat food, They don't have time with that, Roger tell me who they will get the money to, After the Hindu pundit tell them straight, Kamala don't have no Hindu. She don't have no Indian people. Roger tell me who she was helping, She friends, contractors, and family. So take the wrong road and go down the yellow brick road, where leading to destruction. Or take the red road, where it's vibrancy, where it's life, where it's energy. And it have a future in that. Or they have a choice to make. Look just yesterday or the day before ever, the Hindu community marched in red. If you see how much of them, and they tell you the value of the red, the color of the red, they march in red. But come up with that, just a week ago, 2 weeks ago, telling me about the red and how it's bad and this and that. What the Hindu community say? Even the Hindu community is realizing come up with that ain't even good for them and all. So if them rejecting she remember that she party running from she. And look who running into she. We hear and she drunk. You hear and she speak. She telling you clearly she mind can't hold nothing again. And I only want to choose over Prime Minister Stuart Young. Again, people, I don't know this is important, Dominic. I know I take it long, but it's important people understand where we are, You have a choice April the 28th. The people in America had a choice to Kamala Harris. She tell them what the 25 vision, whatever thing Trump and them do, what it will do. The Mexican and this one and Cuban and this one, they say, no, he ain't going to do that. The white woman and the men and all that, no, he ain't going to do that. It's Make America Great Again, and every day on the YouTube, they cussing Trump. They saying they make a mistake. We don't be in that situation. Look at PSA. There was an election. They had a choice to choose a competent team to go in there, the executive of PSA. They didn't come out and vote. They didn't business. And now we settled with a stupid girl who got on a stage talking about the code is red and party, and my party, and stop that bullshit. I asked her, she this morning, I singing this morning. Your child, and the child tell you who's the child father. Because you put yourself in the political space now, so you go get boy as a political person. I'll end again by saying you have a choice. April the 28th. You choose the yellow brick road that leads into destruction, or you're choosing the red road will lead into life, opportunities, vibrancy, and a building our nation where our young people who coming up will be able to enjoy and move on. Dominic, have a blessed morning. Everybody have a blessed morning. The code is red. Don't get up. Yellow is gangrene. Yellow is because you have to get antibiotics. You have to get penicillin for that. Red, when you see red, you know everything healthy. It's good to go. Dominic, you all have a blessed morning.
Thank you, Jen.
Hello, good morning, Dominic.
Morning, sir.
Morning. Dominic, I saw something over the long weekend that it disgusts me. And and I want to make this point first. People, when they want to, like when things happen in this country, governance, and you want to dilute the stupidity and things that you get from the UNC, they use on both sides. Like if Kano Prasad says and the UNC do something that is wrong, and the country has to speak about it and they discuss about it, you will have certain people in the media and certain people with all these letters behind their name they would say on both sides. But look what happened. The UNC propaganda machine on social media. Take a shot of the Prime Minister and the function, the ceremony function at the Muslim committee. It's a tradition that after they have their prayer, they'll feed or they'll give donations to the poor outside. And when you do that, right, you don't advertise. They make sure and they tell you don't advertise, you don't boast that you give the poor something you think. So in other words, there shouldn't be you shouldn't be using any taking any screenshots and things to promote yourself. But the UNC propaganda machine twisted and come out on the media to say that the Prime Minister is giving money for votes. And the mainstream media will have mentioned it. That was calculated because look at the people who mention it on the news. You from the time you see or heard something like that, well, look, this thing has some serious lies in it, and it's defamation. And if you have any respect for the people's religion, you only mention that on mainstream media. But they did. And I'm saying, the people who like to say on both sides, you could never see that happening in a PNN government. Until it reached so far, and I had to bring this back up, that when we had the family day and the skit from, I think it's from the Tabakit Corporation, PNM members in the thing there, they had this skit. The UNC and them started to push this thing about racism and the thing and that and the thing with the Hindus and against the Hindus and whatnot. The Prime Minister then, Dr. Rowley, would have sought clarification, not from one Hindu organization, but a couple. But he saw it fit to apologize. You know why? Because he said that a lot of us are ignorant to other people's religion, and we should be more, tolerant. So so as the leader of the country, he set the stage so people could follow. So you respect people's religion. You don't see that in the UNC. You ain't seeing that coming from the UNC. So when people want to tell me that the two parties are the same thing and we're looking for somebody new and whatever, but look at all the new parties coming out. All of them pass under Kamala Prasad and break away. That is not new. The only thing new about that is because they have a new name, but the same old opposition, and they'll use the same tactic because as soon as they get 1 or 2 seats, and they can weave that power to join up with the UNC to get into government, they will do it. So even though you discuss with the things that the UNC doing and you want to vote for these people, and the opportunity shows itself, they will team up with the UNC. So you're actually your vote going right back to the UNC. Uni's favorite thing right now is the PNM. And people will not people, but the UNC and them will tell you all kind of nasty thing about it, but I always tell them I am proud. Just don't call me UNC, because you will be insulting me. The things I've seen happening under this Kamala Prasad disaster, this lady have been calling for election, call election, and she ain't ready for election. The lady, you know what she do? You know the tactics? She'd have gone and said PNM and EBC stole election. You know that was for? Let's keep the base under her because they all my base, my stronghold base. She for we work Kamala there, we think we keep in Kamala because for her to keep Kamala because when Kamala win, PNM go have to call election. And she kept them there for 5 years plus, and lose every turn. They know they're losing and they know they're losing matter everything, but by the time that's get over with. Our next election coming up there, and you know what she also does do? Remove everybody who could challenge her. But who does she get? Who is she attracting? The people with baggage and skeleton in the closet that she attracting. Look at the display that Kamala put forward there. People have to be mad to let these people be in governance. People have to be real crazy. But I know for a fact that the right-thinking citizens and them don't want no part of Kamala Prasad disaster. Because look at these people and them. People serious matters before the court. And people who, other people despise until you bring these fellas and them around you. People who curse Kamala Prasad disaster nasty in public. Had somebody worst thing to say about this lady. She pulled them there. She had no choice that she had to guide the people she attracted. The guys like people like Lala and them first and them senior counsel Lala. I can't say anything bad about Lala. She let a fella like Lala go and tell him about that, but them don't need it and those things. So I'll just simply say, boy, and I'm parroting after Jenny. People have to be careful of what they put because put Kamala Prasad disaster, they should go and wreck the economy. With all these set of things that she promised to give, because she'll get pressure. If she become prime minister, who go God forbid, and I always use that after I say that, then God forbid, she will have to fulfill some of the election campaign mandates, and she will be forced to do some of the things, free laptops and free this and free that and free that, and then what she doing? She don't know no dragon gas. She don't want to. Investors to come and take over the refinery. She's going to open back the refinery. I don't know where she getting the billions from to do that. As a matter of fact, I don't know where she getting all that money to do that from. It tells you something. And if you cut in your revenue stream by giving the people who racking in, and every time you had to read these damn papers, every quarter you seen people racking this business sector, racking in millions of dollars, which is good. It shows that the economy is turning because it inspires investors. Till we start to see all kind of Popeyes opening all over the place. Dominic, you know about Popeyes opening right down in Marble by Backshot?
Yep.
But all these people and them is opening up, I think so Starbucks opening every week. Starbucks can get a place in a nice little built up area, but this thing.
Wendy's as well.
Churches opening one in Pinal.
Mm-hmm.
Churches open a thing in Pinal when I passed there. I think it was Saturday evening. I watch actually about a week now. One after the line inside it. When I look good, drive-through lines for churches. So the Indian community up in penal area and in environments, and then they levying out the churches. And when I go around the corner and debate down there by I won't call it business people name and them the thing. But they sell a nice little barbecue and those things there. Usually when you pass there, people there, a lot of people. These days when I pass in, they empty. And before I go, I just want to say it again. I hope people don't understand that Kamala and them campaign strategy is not about telling us on how they're going to improve on the economy and where they're going to get their revenue streams and how they're going to attract investors. But it's to put our African to cost the Africans in PNM and their supporters. He call us all kind of nasty. African person calling an African all kind of nasty. You never see in a UNC ad that an Indian person cussing an African person. And then you would never see them cussing Indians. Right? And then they use this sort of a slant to put in people's mind. PNM this, they showing you all kind of thing and telling them, oh, PNM are the people hungry. Kamala saying the PNM is really the most depressing thing, right? The biggest lie. If you go as you certain part of Barapur and come through, if you pass Barapur, if you go through Woodland to come through to Separate, you back through them roads and everything there. And you pass in certain rural access areas through like if you're passing like Shogunas and you go down the back. You're surprised to see the amount of poverty down there. And I really ask myself, what is the area representative doing for them? What is the MP doing for them? What is the councillor doing for them? Because they simple things to improve, like fixing the drains properly and all these other things. Those things are simple to improve. It's not like you're building up 3-story apartments and luxury thing and this and that. Fix the little infrastructure. Proper running water, take Marvin Gonzalez to go and do it down the road, and then you had Victor Roberts, and now I see he changed his mind now. Victor Roberts and the Mayor Superior thing here, Mayor Mayo, they coming out to protest Wasa digging up the road and over the road. And the residents in the area now, they come out and quarrel with them, but we want the water, because they lay in the pipes. Well, after they done lay the pipes and everything, then we go quarrel for the road. The people in them are telling people them that because these people want nothing good for their own people. They first and the people are going to get a steady water supply. And you have this same UNC sabotaging their own constituency. And I hope the people better wake up. The people who usually would support UNC blindfolded, I hope all you wake up. Because if all you feel that when Kamala comes in, it will be a better roses or a second thing coming. Because Kamala going to carry straight to the IMF. And the thing about them are places all over the world and could bust out and gone because you know when riots start, then gone. According to Bazio Pan, they wake me up when it's all over. And that is the mantra Kamala Prasad sir. Thank you very much, John.
Thank you, sir. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, how are you, my darling?
I am good.
When the UNC have to lie continuously, they have nothing, right? Kamala went, the Muslim function wrong. Isn't that wrong? Miss Amin went to Hindu schools, right? They get figures out. Is that wrong?
Mm-hmm.
Double standards of the dance. This young family is Muslim. He was there before. I think it's time we turn the table and the dance. Will I play a game? Let's play a game. They accused TTT of taking them off the air with the ads. It's an ad place in Port of Spain, London or something, that they accused of doing the same thing too. It is time they be sued for the lies and slander. It is 2015 and 2020 in 2025. If you know your weight in the political arena, right? And you know what you stand for, you are righteous, upstanding, with no fault. Would you lie?
Nope.
You don't I make my dumpling? We eat it. Francis me for the fourth time. You know your wisdom. You know you are a good media person. You know you're fast, so we come to you to listen to things, right? But when you have a doctor and edit people's live videos, something wrong with you. You have nothing to add. That comes from insecurity. And people hear me well. Do not lose the rest of your mind and vote you and see. Because IMF will drag you out your house and take what you work for. Kama has nothing to give this nation. She is going back to get people. She's going to dive in to get people. If you have integrity, you wouldn't be the done. Have a good day. Be blessed. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Seven 1763. Eric, call me back. Me say good morning to Mr. Chance. I haven't heard Mr. Chance in a while. Morning, Zena.
Morning, Dominic.
How are you?
I played young the other night and take that rain and stand there outside in the rain. It's so pretty.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, God, like I want to come down with the flu. Play the young thing now. I was so happy. So you put a face to the name now.
Yes.
Anyhow, the show, your launch was very, very, very good.
Yes.
I made comments about it. Only the rain, the drizzle, the constant drizzle tried to daunt us, but we weren't daunted. Very, very good performance. Anyhow, I want to tell you, see that man that was screwed up his face when you were walking? They don't want to hear the truth. That is why I'm saying all the lies that we heard on the television, and I'm hearing Mr. Young in between where he will say what is the truth and what is not the truth. I want them to put some debunking on the television. Well, I hear UNC posted that they're scrambling now. They want the time. They want the time and the air now because I know they buy out all the time. But as a government, all they need to debunk a lot of the things that are still coming up in people's faces. And to make sure that they have people putting, well, I know on TikTok, and I know people have a lot of nonsense they talk on TikTok. So I don't want it on my phone really. But if that is the avenue to get things out to the young people who are not listening to mainstream media and who are not reading papers, certain things have to be done because I don't know if it still have people still believing that nonsense. But we have to admit it, like the man that screw up his face, they voting party. They're not voting for the betterment of this country. So we have to know, we have to try to reach those people somehow or the other. It have those, that is why that opposition leader could not call out the name of the candidates yet, because it have people, no matter where, who she put, they go vote for it. People used to say that long ago about the PNM, but that is not so. And that is not PNM's policy. That's why they had all the people in place a long time, so they could know who they're voting for. But some of them, and let me tell you, they still because that's why they continue to push party and the race, But I hope that the Hindus remember what Satmaraj should tell them. So he died. He free up the Hindu vote. You understand?
Yes.
So I hope they get sense in their head and they know what they have to do. That's all I have to say. Dominic, you continue the good work. We'll continue to do what we could do by letting other people know, passing on the message, passing on the truth. Right? So you keep strong, keep safe, take enough tonic to keep you up for the walking and the weather.
Indeed.
And continue to follow you all and follow the truth. And people come out and vote. Come out
you look for the symbol. Stick it there. Thank you. I go on.
Thank you. Hello.
Dominic.
Hey, Jen.
I'm seeing today is Mrs. Marilyn Gordon's birthday.
I don't know. I didn't see anything.
Yeah, I see something pop up. If it is, I just want to wish Mrs. Marilyn Gordon happy, strong, all job, blessing, and love to her. Ms. Gordon has a rich history in the People's National Movement, being one of the youngest member of parliament at the time, being very instrumental in the Women's League. They had something called Kitchen Cabinet, where she led that, where Dr. Williams would get them to go out to the communities to find out what are the needs of the women, what is the need of the community. That's why we get this rich culture of village council, community centers, best village, all those things came out of that. She was also instrumental in that, the school feeding program, where they introduced it the first time, I think it was 2 or 3 times a week. They hired nutritionists and stuff and were using the local produce. So they introduced things like bhaji and pumpkin. And we know who used to grow those things. So I will tell you, the PNM policies has always been for all. It was not the Indian communities who were growing those things. They incorporated it into the school feeding program. So she has been here. When I tell you, she has a wealth of knowledge on the People's National Movement, because she was there since Dr. Williams' time. So you can imagine how young she was when she was introduced into the parliament. So Ms. Gordon, again, thank you for your service to the country. Thank you for all you have done for culture and the service of that. And just enjoy. Life is good. We have a good spirit, and it's a blessing. Thanks, Dominic.
Thank you, Jen. Let me see. All right. So I also caught a glimpse. I don't know if that was last night, but the meeting that they had in Oropuch, I think it was. I saw, and I'll probably discuss it in more detail tomorrow because I'm looking at the time, where Munilal and his contribution to that meeting, for yet another time, as has become the norm with members of the UNC, particularly its hierarchy and normal spokespersons, to lie with respect to that transaction involving the gas to liquids plant and its sale to Nikon. And I heard him talking about how this government sold the gas to liquids plant to Nikon for small money and peppercorn rates and so on. Right? Let me draw it again to your attention, and I will go into more detail because I will read the statement that the late Franklin Khan would have placed on Hansard in the Senate in 2018 when he spoke to that issue, the circumstances around or surrounding the sale of the gas to liquids plant, and that the decision to sell the gas to liquids plant to Nikon and the amount of money that was accepted, that transaction took place in 2012. Who was in government in 2012? Who was the prime minister? Rudal Munilal was a part of the government in 2012. So he is fully aware that the decision was taken, and the final decision to make that sale was made by one Larry Hawaii. So that matter would have come before the cabinet of which Rudal Munilal was minister, and the final decision to make that sale for the 10 million or whatever was made in August of 2015, just a few weeks before the general election. And so it was not the PNM that did that. But we will read that tomorrow. And again, I will continue to demonstrate to you why these people are liars and cannot be trusted, and figure everybody dotish like the waterfront ilk and wouldn't go on to the research. And every time I hear them repeat that lie, it upsets me, because Munilal should know better, unless it is that the cabinet didn't take that decision and whoever else made the decision. But I will read the statement for you again tomorrow from Franklin Khan that is on Hansard. It is there. And if Franklin Khan misled the parliament when he read that into Hansard, they would have taken him before the Privileges Committee, right, so that he could be sanctioned for lying to the parliament. And the fact that that did not happen means that they concurred with what was contained in that statement, that they were the ones who sold the Nikwan plant for a nickel and a dime and not the PNM. But they will put up their posts and get their social media influencers who take in $40,000 and $45,000 to sell their soul, to create AI videos and so on, to lie to you, the public, because they know there are lots of people out there who will not take the time to go and do the research and will just read this. Ooh, nah, bye. PNM. Anyway, Eric, go ahead.
Yes, good morning to you. Good morning to the listeners, scholars, and the last segment of Facts and Stubborn Things. Dominic, tell me if you're hearing this, right? Hold on there.
Destroyed your energy sector. They failed to reduce critical gas.
You hearing this?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah, Eric, I hear.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Sorry?
Yeah, we hearing it.
All right. Hold on there.
The last time Kamala and Kamal were in charge, they destroyed your energy sector. They failed to renew critical gas contracts, lied about production levels. They made bad deals. Sold out TNT. The last time the UNC won, you lost billions of US dollars. If the UNC wins, you.
We're not hearing now, Eric.
Yeah. And that is a paid announcement for the People's National Movement. Dominic, I have something to tell people out here. Now, I see money passing, but how come me get none? Real money passing and me get none, probably I ain't Tony like half of them.
They don't know you, boy. They don't know you. You don't have that thing in your name. Just imagine they call Marsha Walker and ask her. So she put out something, she said, like, clearly the marketing team, like, they're clueless.
Okay. So I want to ask these content creators a question, right? Election is just one cycle every 5 years, right? If you have a content on your page, you have followers on your page, how could you decipher who is PNM, who is UNC, who is NT, and who is Patriotic Front? Now, you sold your dignity for a few dollars, and then what after election? Are you going to come back now to come and have content for people to come and enjoy? But you see, we in this country have a 6-day wonder, right? You will say, oh, now the election and going already, and he's a content creator. Oh, wash. Yeah, that's because it goes to show that the UNC, not knowing, they have been constantly doing that since inception. Always trying to buy the African voters by any means possible, because they realize that the East-West corridor, they don't stand a chance. So better use an African person to pay them a little takada, and I will go and give them that support for the black votes to come and vote for UNC. They tried that in 2015. It didn't work. They tried that in 2020. It didn't work. Because back in 2020, Julie John bought fridge, stove, washing machine, dryer, this, furniture, thing, whatever. Any people in our would take it, I would vote for Star Comments. So my advice to the people, or those content creators, but we know some of them hungry and they're hungry and looking for money. People like the likes of, you know who? The one with the EDR and others, right? But at the end of the day, nobody cannot buy me for no $40,000 because the money bound to done. It bound to done. And then what after? You want to take that money to cost the government, right? And then when UNC in office, and every day is some bacchanal, some scandal, some confusion. We're going to say, I shoulda, I woulda, and I call that is too late. Hello?
Yeah. Go ahead, Eric.
You understand? So my thing is, as what Jenny say, yellow is jaundice. Yellow is pus. Yellow is pee. Your urine. Yellow is a color not fit for consumption. If you look at the color chart right now, yellow is one of the least favorite colors on the color chart. You will more see white, black, that is standard colors, red, blue, orange. But orange, yellow and red give you orange. But yellow is the least favorite color on the color chart. So people, we have to understand where we are going. All of them naysayers and all those who want to feel that the government ain't doing nothing the last 10 years. Kamala was there for 5 years. What they did in 5 years that they was there. I want a UNC troll or activist or supporter to publish what the UNC did between 2010 and 2015 in contrast to what this administration did in 2015 to 2025. I await that list and we will debate from there. Because everybody cussing and have something to say, right? If it's not Prime Minister Young, it has some fella called the Silva fella down in Port of Spain trying to make some bacana with rambles. You understand? Because all of this is eat a food, hungry mouth, foot mouth, that is them soul. You understand? It's a one down in Muruga trying to tarnish the candidate Lisa Atwater. Oh, she was a principal and she did and how we. But from your utterances, I was the full opinion that she might have already said that because you're something as evidence. And it is it. So the whole mantra now is to scandalize the candidates, call them all kind of thing, cost the PN supporters and everything. But that too shall fail because I know at the end of the day, out of the 1.5 million people in this country, another 1,100,000 people going to vote this election. Out of that, you might get a small percentage that will have an issue with the party, but majority of the citizens of this country are right-thinking citizens. And I know on election day, which is 26 days away, they're going to do the right thing to put this country on a footing and elect the leader and prime minister that will take this country forward into the future, and it's the People's National Movement. Me and the Sable of Supper, I am not being paid to come and talk about PNM. I am not being paid to campaign on behalf of the PNM. I am doing this for the interest of my country. Because God forbid, if the UNC go there and the bunch of crooks, criminals and vagabonds, this country is doomed not locally, you know. This country is doomed regionally and internationally. You think if Kamala go there, you think Nicholas would want anything to do with Kamala and them after you scandalize the man name from since 2015 all the way to now? You think Donald Trump don't want anything to do with Kamala? Haven't you always seen the nasty, dirty behavior from your supporters? And you're rightfully Dominic, because in America, they feel like Donald Trump and them is playing joke. Elon Musk is the owner of TikTok. Not TikTok, X, formerly Twitter. So you think that Donald Trump have a team across there monitoring everybody Facebook page and social media pages? So if they see that, all right, this person is against the PNM and the racial tone and this and that and the other. You think if you go to America, they say, hey, what's your name? My name is John Barry. All right, John Barry. Well, we see you are a whole profile page on social media that was only spewing that hate, race, negativity thing. What I read now, we can't allow it in our country. Access denied. Social media is a place it could be used for positivity and negativity. However you choose to use social media will impact your life. So if you want to spew out that race, hate, and venom, woe be unto you. But in a nutshell, I am focused. I know right-thinking citizens are focused. This is an election season. After Friday is the real creme de la creme is going to take place. 25 candidates UNC have. They have 16 candidates to bring forward before Friday. Let me see
14.
16
14.
candidates that they're going to bring forward. If you're going to scrape up 16 people
14.
on the roadside,
14,
that's
sir.
what I mean.
Right.
So we are wait.
14.
And we will see.
14.
But
14,
that
sir.
done, guys, the focus is, let's stay focused. We have an election to win. We have an election to take charge of your family, your friends. We have to go out and we vote resoundingly for the People's National Movement. Your 40 candidates, you have to go and support your 41 candidates. Don't forget about UNC and all the naysayers and Latinas and all them racial tension and whatever. We have to go out there and support all 41 candidates. Prime Minister Young is a man, he is for the country, he is going to lead this country into the future of politics. Kamala, on the other hand, she has 1 foot on the Mosquito Creek and 1 foot in the Caribbean Commission side. So she don't know if she coming or if she going, right? So the choice is yours. Do you want to wake up on the 29th of April to see who will be answering the phone calls in the office of the Prime Minister? Do you want a drunkard or a sober thinking Prime Minister? The choice is yours. The information is already out there on all these social media platforms, on Cabal, Debunking, Let Me Talk the Thing. All these pages have the information out there. And so you want to go and view and you decide who you all want to be in office to govern your affairs going forward. We had a time for them cooks for them in the UNC. All them studies is to set themselves and people who look like them, right? But that being said, other people, be focused and we have an election to win. So Dominic, good program, we're gonna listen.
Thank you, sir. So just one correction, the UNC has 14 more candidates to announce, not 16, because they're not contesting the 2 Tobago seats, right? As they have made lucidly clear that they're not really a national party. So folks, thank you for joining me this morning. We will chat again tomorrow, all right? Being Thursday, all roads this evening lead to the Harris Promenade in San Fernando. Come out to the PNM's national meeting where you can meet all 41 candidates. We'll be there. So come out and hear your speakers and of course the feature speaker, Prime Minister Stuart Young. So let's cover Harris Promenade and the outskirts in red this evening. Certainly Malaba Mausika, the constituency of Malaba Mausika. We will be coming out in our numbers. So we will be there. We will be making our presence felt, and I know that the other constituencies will do so as well. So you could tell, you know, the UNC love to send drones and send their spies, and they want to see how much people come out, and because apparently for them, crowds win election. But they still have 14 constituencies that turning up, there's supporters turning up, and don't have the what's the word I'm looking for? That they don't have the privilege that PNM supporters have and have had for a number of weeks of seeing all 41 of their candidates, knowing the names of all 41 of their candidates. And we will go to nomination day, which is 2 days away, and you will still have UNC supporters not knowing who their candidates are. Okay, but they call that strategy. In the PNM, we call that donkey logic. All right. So enjoy your day, and as I always say, make it a productive one, and we will chat again tomorrow morning, God's willing. All right? So that's it for me. Yes, there's also a meeting on Saturday as well at Exeter Spaniard in Tunapuna, but you will get more details on that. Tunapuna, Exeter Spaniard on Saturday.